Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. I'm here with the commish, Kieran Perot. Mate, give us the latest update.
Yeah, we've been watching it for a little while. With good news is we've seen that fog start to thin out. It's clear enough now that you can see the back of the break and you can see what's going to be happening in the lineup. So we'll be back on starting 8:40 a.m. Resume again with that heat. That heat got underway and had a few minutes go by. No waves were ridden, so great news for those guys. We'll restart with 35 minutes.
And tell me the plan for today?
Plan for today is we were hoping to get as far as we could. We had in mind we may try and finish. This might sort of put things on the back burner, and we'll see how conditions are playing out. We definitely want to do round 4 and 5. We'll have quarterfinals. We'll have a call on whether we keep going into the quarterfinals later on today.
And tell me, when we look over our shoulder, the lineup's glassier and cleaner than it was this morning, so the break has kind of helped the surf, hasn't it?
That's one really big plus for sure, yeah. We've got really nice conditions. A little bit of a light offshore wind even blowing right now. Was unexpected, but we're going to take it. We've got great surf.
Yeah, we take it every day. So there you go, boys. Round 4 and 5 on with an 8:40 start.
Great news, and thank you, Bells Beach, for starting to clear up. We know the swell's here. We're going to get the visibility, and we're going to get the men back in the water. And like KP said, Potts, a fresh clock for them, so that's good. A full 35 minutes to kick off Heat 1 of round number 4.
Yeah, and the good thing really is that there was no waves ridden, so no one's going to be put in a situation where they started off with an average wave and then restart the clock with certain priorities, etc., etc. So it's a clean slate. These guys will be putting fresh wetties on, nice dry new suits will be going on onto the surfers. You can see Frederica and Owen along with the coaches. It all starts right here, obviously trying to psych each other out. You can see Frederico with the shoes and socks on to keep those feet warm. You don't want to get those toes numb, which quite easily happens down here at Bells.
Yeah, here we go. A little peek into the locker room. We talked about the city that we build here at the Rip Curl Pro, and the men and the ladies both have locker rooms. Owen Wright and Federico Moraes, both in the locker room, and the coaches, Glenn Micro Hall and Richard Dog Marsh, having a chat as well. So a little bit of a friendly banter before the boys get out there and do battle. Owen on screen here. Stop number 1 winner. And it's been a great Australian leg so far for Owen Wright. Let's see if he can continue with the great form that he came in swinging in 2017. And they'll walk down the stairs, those event stairs, and then down those historic stairs with all of the past champions here at the Rip Curl Pro.
Owen with a win on the Gold Coast, quarterfinals in Margaret River, ranked number 2 in the world at the moment. Bit of a high five from Mick Fanning. John stole the yellow jersey off him at Margaret River with the win. And a semi-final on the Gold Coast, so it is a tight race at the moment. One position that is separating these two guys. John Florence, our defending world champion, as he runs down those iconic stairs here at Bells Beach into that natural amphitheatre where the gladiators have been doing battle for 56 years. Those sands have been the footprints of great surfers in the sands of Bells Beach. You can see right there, that is the Jeep leaderboard.
Yeah, our Jeep leaderboard.
A few top guys missing, wow.
Yeah, you see, some grayed out, the light gray. Those guys are out of competition. Kolohe Andino, Matt Wilkinson, Connor Coffin, Gabriel Medina in the blue, still going. And John Florence, Owen Wright, Jordy Smith, can't wait to see him, Adriano de Souza. And let's see what happens with Felipe Toledo. We saw amazing surfing last time we had competition in that round number 3 with Toledo. It's a whole different ball game today, Potts, with the increased size.
Yep. I don't think he's going to have too much of an issue. I think he'll ride a step up. He's a powerful kid too. I mean, he's underestimated by everyone as far as how powerful he is. He throws as much spray out the back as anyone I know. And he's just getting stronger as well. Frederica Moraes is on a pang.
Another Hawaiian board.
I've had a few of those in my day. It's an amazing shaper. Made me a 6'4" not that long ago. Thing
Yeah.
goes amazing still. I ride it out here quite often during the winter time.
Yeah, and back to Felipe Toledo. Let's take a look at some of his performances so far here at the 2017 Rip Curl Pro. Toledo, holy Toledo, with
Look at
some of the amazing surfing he's doing.
Talk about power from Toledo. Talk about speed, flow, variety of maneuvers. Look at that, under the lip. I mean, how many people can do that? Not many, let me tell you. And then how many people can take off on a very average wave and turn it into a massive score? Toledo was throwing big scores away during this heat. That straight air, one of the toughest airs to do. Toledo's got a bag of tricks as deep as most, and just getting better and better, I reckon.
That was when we were over at Winky, and Toledo just put on a show in his heat there. But you know what? The momentum continued. Just check this out. Big straight air. We know you love that, Potts, but see how much ground he covered in the air horizontally. You know, just incredible stuff from Felipe Toledo. And then, what? He can do it at the Bells Bowl too, because he just came out swinging with a 9.77. This was the first ride of the day. Check this out.
Yeah, we saw Kelly Slater do that in the finals against Mick Fanning a few years ago. Dropped a perfect 10. I thought that was going to be a perfect 10 as well. One judge agreed with me. But a little mistake at the end, brought that average down to a 9.77, first wave of the day. So the judges were kind of freaking out a little bit, wanted to leave some room for movement, and quite rightly so, because they just, you know, with the conditions the way they were, I mean, we didn't know what was going to happen that day. Toledo proven that the Bells Bowl is an air wave as well, even with the offshore conditions, which generally is tougher to produce those aerial maneuvers. Toledo looking hard to beat if he can continue that kind of form. You know, everyone says he's the best high-performance surfer in the world. I think he's going to fine-tune that game and become more and more of a complete athlete as he gets bigger and stronger.
Well, we're just minutes away from the start of round 4, heat number 1. The pride of Portugal, Frederico Moraes, is going to be out there along with Caio Ibelli, and current Jeep ratings number 2, Owen Wright.
Yeah, it's going to be a great heat. We're going to see a lot of contrast in styles. Obviously, all three surfers very powerful. All three surfers, amazing rail games. Owen with the point of difference on the backhand. So he's going to be drawing a different line, Kaipo. I know you love that goofy footer conversation, but he's going to get that board nice and vertical. He's got the ability to mix it up, which very few guys can do on the backhand. Frederico Moraes is going to lay into the rail, as is Caio Ibelli. It's going to come down to wave selection, as we always talk about here at Bells Beach. Be on the good ones. Start off strong, finish strong. You're going to get the good score.
Well, from the looks of the water right now, Potts, these surfers are going to have a lot of waves to select from, because the swell continues to pulse through and gain more strength and momentum, as we're expected today, as is forecasted today. We're under a minute before the beginning of this heat, and looks good.
Well, everyone thought it was going to be onshore today. Guess what?
Surprise!
It's offshore. So, you know, the forecasts, everyone, it's like you said before, it's an educated guess, isn't it, really, at best? You cannot control what's going to happen out there. Mother Nature, she walks to the beat of her own drum. And Bells Beach is offshore this morning. A little bit of fog delay, but it actually did the lineup wonders as we see beautiful sets rolling through. We're going to see some bombs come through. There's going to be some surprises. Obviously, these guys have got to be on their toes. Positioning going to be very important. Experience here at Bells Beach goes a very long way.
Experience, positioning, and also adjustment to some different equipment. No doubt all of these surfers are riding a bit longer equipment or bigger equipment from the previous competition days. So those are going to be some adjustments that we're going to see the surfers make. We hear our beach announcer blowing the horn, and it is on. The clock set to 35 minutes and begin the countdown right now. We always open with neutral priority, so priority for each wave at the beginning is established by your positioning in the lineup.
This is correct. You can see Owen Wright, Caio Ibelli to the inside position, Frederico Moraes second in line. Owen Wright deciding to sit further down. He's not buying into that fight for that first priority.
I like it.
Different approaches. Obviously, everyone's got a different idea on how each guy will go in with a different game plan. Each guy goes in, you know, knowing exactly what they want to do. They'll have a plan A, obviously. If things don't go according to plan, you got that backup plan, right?
That's
And
right.
especially here at Bells Beach, I think you need about 3 or 4 backup plans as the heat progresses.
So on screen, Caio Ibelli, 23 years old, out of Guarujá in Brazil. And call him the pride of Portugal. This guy, 25 years old, a big carcass there. Cascais, Portugal, Frederico Moraes. So we're going to see that, you know, the power of Moraes just by fact that he's a big guy.
Yeah, Owen Wright as well. I mean, Owen's, 6'3", almost 6'4". Caio Ibelli's probably in about the 5'6" range, but size doesn't matter.
Sure
really.
doesn't, no.
I mean, you know, you've watched Caio's performances over the last few rounds, and he's laying the board on the rail as hard as anyone. So, you know, he serves like he's a 6-foot guy. That is for sure. He loves Bells Beach. We heard him on the stairs. He was frothing. He was loving it. He was saying how excited he was to get today rolling. The swell is predicted, as we saw that forecast. Through the day, it's meant to increase in size. With that longer period, we're going to see big, long lines come through, and well, I'm sure that all these guys are going to have plenty of opportunity.
But here we go. Frederico Moraes is going to be the first guy up and starts with a nice carve off the top, winds up off the bottom. Great surfing, matching power for power, and has no problem through some of the trickier section. And looking to get caught back up with some open face. Frederico finds it and now looks for a closing maneuver on the inside before he hails a ski for a ride back out. Right behind him, Caio Ibelli. We talk about the sneaky power that Caio has, and he's illustrating it right here with some beautiful carves. That rail game, Potts, I know you like it when the surfer keeps the board tilted on the rail throughout the whole turn. So we saw that technique by Caio Ibelli.
You know what? You've got to basically look at, you know, when a surfer's on a wave, don't necessarily look at him. Look at what his board's doing, and look at how much water that board is displacing. You know, that's a gauge on how powerful a surfer really is. So once that guy hooks into a turn, you know, have a look at the spray coming out the back. You know, when you see a water skier lay into those big turns, you got that rooster tail. That's what you want. That's the gauge on how much effort and power the surfer is putting into his turns.
Guy with a different approach. Back to the wall, Owen Wright. Nice carve. Gets down to the bottom, looks for more, and decides that wave just wasn't up to his liking, and wisely kicks out. He's going to have to reset, get back out the back, and have another swing at it.
Yeah, that first turn, very important. You heard Richie Porter talk about, head judge Richie, talk about the fact that if you don't connect with that first turn, let's have a look at Caio. Good solid wave here for the young Brazilian. Speed down the line, just setting it up, being very patient here. Now it starts to stand up as he draws off the bottom. There's that power that we talk about, critical stuff in the pocket. Comes out with speed and does not miss a beat. So Caio Ibelli off to a flying start here. And again, we talk about how much water flies out the back of the wave. That equals power. You can see him just throwing everything into these turns. Mind you, it's his first wave. So he will be tapping off a little bit, just making sure that he really connects with that, gets the ball rolling. Frederico Moraes. Let's have a look at his approach. Connects nicely with that first turn. Now it starts to set up through the inside bowl. Nice vertical turn, a little bit of a free-fall drop. So Frederico, a little bit of a different approach, more of a vertical in the lip approach, whereas Caio was more of that, just that gouging sort of approach. So these guys will really adjust their surfing due to what the wave's going to allow them to do. So it's not necessarily taking off on a wave with an idea of what they want to do, but reacting to each situation as it arises.
I like your analysis, Potts, in that size is not a determination of power, and Caio Ibelli showed that, I believe, in his first wave. We're going to see, we're waiting for the judges. They're deliberating and what happened with that first exchange, but that guy is showing some power.
I think the only real difference, I mean, you watch Jordy Smith, for example, right, when he surfs a wave that has a little bit more lump and bump on it, because he's a big, strong kid, he tends to be able to plow through that a lot easier. You know, you got obviously a smaller guy that's a little lighter. It's going to affect him a little bit more. So to me, being a bigger guy in bumpy, lumpy conditions may be an advantage just to deal with that lump and bump, but not necessarily how strong or how powerful the kid is.
Judges, no doubt, taking another couple looks at both of those rides before putting numbers down and really setting the scale for today. So
Well,
this is going
yeah.
to be some telltale numbers when
It
they
is.
do drop.
It is very, very important. And, very rarely are you going to see massive scores drop for the first waves. So it basically sets the scale for the rest of the day, and scores dropping through now.
Yeah, we're going to still wait for those to come in complete so we can give you an update. Well, first score for Frederico Moraes, an 8-point ride, a full point above Caio Ibelli. So
I would have flip-flopped those scores, but
that's why, yeah. I mean, I saw that feeling, but remember, maybe because, Frederico moving down the line got those vertical and wasn't relinquished so much to, the cutbacks. But it was beautiful. I mean, I think it was beautiful rail surfing. Hey, great start for both Frederico Moraes as well as Caio Ibelli. And a reminder, if you're just joining us, Frederico Moraes is actually surfing after kind of having his bell rung this morning. Took like fin to the face, to the head, opened up a big gouge underneath his eye. I mean, above his eye, underneath his brow. It had to shake that off. Such a powerful blow that it knocked the fin out of his board. Here we go. Let's take a look.
yeah, first turn from Frederico, sort of a transition maneuver, just setting this inside up. Now he off the bottom, sort of vertical turn there. And again, let's have a look at this. Snaps it up through the lip, behind the section a little bit, so he gets himself back out onto that open face, and needs to finish strongly. So Frederico off to a good start. The judges deeming that excellent surfing. 8.0 for Frederico Moraes. Great way to start. Reminding you, winner goes straight through to the quarterfinals. So very, very important heat. Second and third delegated to round number 5, which is an elimination round, as we see Caio.
He heard he got a 7 on his first ride. He wants to do better than that on this one. Goes through the lip, survives the bounce on the way down. Long stretching wave, and through the lip again for Caio Ibelli. Aggressive whitewater climb in a tricky section, and that grabs his board, goes incomplete there.
Yeah, on a day like today, you kind of want to steer clear of maneuvers like that. With that lump and bump, it's not a smooth transition. It's going to be difficult to complete those kind of turns out here. You want to keep the board on the open face. You want to find that clear water, find that clean water, and quite possibly second and third wave of the set. But then in saying that, you want it to be bigger than the first one. If you get that second or third wave and it's not bigger than the first one, you're going to have that white water residual from the wave before, and it's going to be trickier to produce those clean, smooth rail turns.
4.76 for Caio Ibelli, and maybe a missed opportunity because those first 2 turns right through the lip look right in order of what the judges wanted to see today. And then unfortunately, got a little bit aggressive there, and now he's just got a 4.67, keeping that score down.
Well, 4.67, so he was on his way to a good score, wasn't
That's
he?
right.
Had he finished that wave off, maybe just drawn around that white water and got himself out onto that clean face, we would have seen some good stuff. So this is Caio's 4.67, first turn through the lip, so critical stuff. And second turn, again through the lip again. So the judges rewarding that critical vertical surfing and then foam climb. So on the merit of those first 2 turns of 4.67, this is the 7. I think the first turn, I love the first turn from Caio right here. He sets it up, waiting for it. It's all about what Bells Beach requires is be patient. Look at that turn, back into the pocket, wearing the lip on the shoulders and coming out with speed. Another beautiful swooping maneuver. I like that sort of clean transition in very tricky conditions. So Caio off to a great start. And again, just hooking into it. So found a lot of open face on that, found a lot of clean, and then finished off nicely. So joined the dots, started strong, finished strong, did some clean surfing in between, which is very tricky to do out here.
Ibelli on the back of our water patrol, our water safety team, getting a ride out to the takeoff zone here at the Bells Bowl. Deepest on the lineup, you can see Owen Wright in the white jersey. He has priority, and he's going to want to get things rolling. We're down to 24 minutes, so plenty of time for Big O. Owen Wright He's going to have first pick of any wave coming through. Let's see which one he chooses.
Well, this one looks all right.
And Owen says, "You're right, Potts. This one looks great. I'm going to go." Owen, that big, deep bottom turn, hooks it off the top on the backhand. And a vertical, just stabbed through the lip. A little variety there with a rock and roll floater showing some board control, and just gets caught up on his way to a big score. But a couple of big turns out the back, Potts.
That was definitely excellent surfing up until that point. I think it's still going to be a fairly chunky score. Might be a nice little backup, but let's have a look. Nice clean face, and that's what you got to look for out here. Nice start, just jamming it into the lip, getting the board all the way back around, which is important in that right there. I mean, how good was that? Rock and roll float. That was a critical turn as well, using the resistance of the white water to get that board nice and vertical. Great surfing here from Owen. This is still going to be a good score. First turn, jamming it, look, extending that body, using that big frame, and then I love this turn right here. That's the difference between the goofies and the naturals today. You're going to be able to get that board, throws a toe. I mean, and I love the way he touches that front of the board with a hand, just gives it that extra point of contact. And then right here, watch how critical this is. Zing, gets that board, beautiful little rock and roll floater from Owen. And, you know, with the wipeout, it's still going to be a pretty solid score. Unfortunate for Owen, just maybe cranking it a little bit too much, just digging that nose in. You can see almost pulled it out. You can see him just trying to get that nose back out. Almost, but not quite. He was definitely on his way to excellent score, and the score drops now. Not what he's looking for, though.
No, 6-point ride, kind of a bummer for Owen Wright. But he gave us a glimpse of the kind of surfing that he's going to have today, you know, muscling around that 6.6. And there's how we got that score, as low as a 5.5, and the high was a 6.3. We throw those out, and then just flat sixes left.
Tell you what, he was on his way to flat 8s or 9s if he had kept going.
That's right.
So that's the criticalness of finishing off your wave. You know, the judges, they're going to be critical on that aspect, because you know what, we're down to the business end of this event. These guys are the best in the world. You can't afford to make those mistakes, not at this level.
Time ticking away. Federico Moraes with the highest single wave score of that 8. So Federico has that highest wave score, has priority, so really has control of this heat at this moment. But it's going to be decision time for the big guy from Cascais.
Yep.
When the next set arrives.
You know what, Kaya's got to be looking at that 7 as maybe a backup. You know, if Federico drops another solid score, then he's going to have to up the ante, seriously. You know, it's 8s or lates really from this point on. And especially with the guys that you're looking that are still in the event, you know, they all produce excellent surfing. We've seen it over the last few rounds. You need bombs. You need, you know, massive 2-wave totals to progress through these next few rounds.
Some lines starting to appear here at the Bell's Bowl, and I talked about it before. Decision time for Federico Moraes. He's starting to reposition himself out in the lineup. And third in line is going to be Owen Wright. Widest in the channel is going to take a look at both Federico and Kyle, and anything that he thinks is quality that these guys don't want, I guarantee you Owen's going to swoop on, because the time is ticking down, and Owen's got to put up a meaningful score.
Yeah, you know, I'm still looking at that 6 from Owen as not enough as even a backup, especially when you look at Kaya's backup has to be that 7, and Federico's already in the excellent range. So it's Federico's to lose at this point.
Let's see what he's got. Off the bottom. Nice carve to open up the account, working his way down the line. Little downturn there. Float. Lip glide there, another lip glide, a little bit better on that turn. Now this wave looking clean on the inside. Big snap for Federico. What more does he have for us? The finish, throws the tail, survives the bounce, and he's gonna back up that 8-point ride.
Yeah, so all of a sudden Kayo 7 as maybe a backup is not going to be enough, because it's going to be another great score from Frederico Moraes. 19 minutes remaining. Tell you what, he's not surfing like a rookie, is he?
No. One of the two rookies left in this final 12, along with Ezekiel Lau, and we talked so much about the rookie class, but Frederico Moraes looking very mature. Here we go with a 2016 Rookie of the Year, Kyle Ibelli. Beautiful arc all the way through, all the way back. Maybe took it a little too far back because now he's caught in the whitewater.
Yeah.
And that led to that mistiming there. Belly goes down. Advantage to Frederico Moraes.
Yeah.
With 18 minutes and 35 seconds counting down.
Opportunity lost right there from Kayo. Wrong choice in turns on the opening maneuver. Maybe brought it too far around. You know, it's important to read the wave. It's important to react to what the wave. You can't put a maneuver in a spot where it's going to put you behind the section here. You can't afford to miss any of the wave at the Bells Bowl. Let's have a look at Moraes' wave first. Beautiful opening turn, nice extension of the body, starting to find the groove, starting to find the rhythm, and he's reading the wave really well. It's very important to do here. Reacting accordingly, split section timing, again up and over. So Frederico on his way to a massive score again, snapping it through, showing some variety, keeping that speed flowing. You can see those little bottom turns. He's not necessarily doing that one long turn, which may, in these kind of conditions, wipe off a bit of speed. But this first turn is where a lot of the score is going to come from. Beautiful extension of the body. Now he just extends that back leg and jams it. So good stuff there from Frederico Moraes. And as I said, another great score just about to be locked in. So Frederico started with an 8-point ride, and he's going to back it up with another good score. Let's have a look at Kayo's. This is kind of a first turn was beautiful right there, but then he brought it too far around and it put him right behind the section. You can see the sense of urgency. Now when you're rushing here at Bells Beach, you tend to pick the wrong turn, pick the wrong time to do it. Mistakes are going to happen. Unfortunate for Kayo there. Great opportunity gone begging.
Still standing by for score for Frederico Moraes, and an update to the situation that we have in the water. One thing we can tell you for sure is that Owen Wright's first in line for the next wave coming through that he chooses, because he's got first priority, but Kyle under priority, going to have another go at it. Some smooth rail surfing from Kyle Ibelli. Just keeping that board on rail, touching the rail, tipping it over just a little bit more. The inside section here offering more for Kyle Ibelli, and he throws it up in the lip. Nice carve. So well put together wave for Kyle Ibelli. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I like the fact that he wasn't scared to pull the trigger on it. You know, he didn't want to get too far behind. 16 minutes remaining. Frederico Moraes, 7.5 on wave number 2. And, I mean, starts with an 8, drops to 7.5. This guy's just so familiar with big scores, isn't he? Every time he stands up, he's just dropping bombs. And Moraes with an 8 backed it up with a 7.5, and we talked about that 7 for Kayo. I knew as soon as Frederico got that wave number 2, that 7-point ride from Kayo was not going to be enough even as a backup. So Kayo's really got to replace both his rides.
Owen Wright now under a little bit of pressure from the clock, because he needs 2 scores to take a win here in round number 4. Nice hook off the top. And now the wave just going a little bit, you know, facier and sleepier, so relinquished to some cutbacks for Owen. Looking for a finish and a nice hook. Vertical, 12 o'clock for Owen Wright.
Who needs a 9.5. Kayo needs an 8.5. So that last wave from Kayo is going to chip away at that 8.5. Great surfing. Took off a little bit wider in the bowl. Owen Wright was a little bit too deep on that occasion, so Kayo pulling the trigger, which I thought was a very smart move. So easy to run out of time out here at Bells. Nice opening maneuver. Just getting himself right back where he needs to be in the guts of the wave, where all the power is, where all that vertical face is. I love that turn right there, just holding the rail to give him an extra point of contact. Now he starts to open up, needs some vertical stuff, which he gets. The judges are loving those vertical turns out here this morning. And Kaio finishing off on his feet, which is so, so important. Looking for an 8.50 on that roll of the dice. Let's have a look at Owen's wave. Owen needs to get busy. Currently sitting with a 6 and a 2. Not enough at this stage. Need a big score, 9.50. Beautiful vertical turn from Owen. Nice and low off the bottom. I love the style and the sort of the way he's able to hold his rail through his turns. Riding a 6-6 board, which is a lot longer than most guys. And that vertical turn from Owen. Big, powerful guy. So I don't think it's going to be enough though. 9.5. He's gonna better that too. But both Kaio and Owen are going to need some massive scores.
Well, during that replay, the score dropped for Kaio Ibelli, 6.6. So he's still going to be searching for that 8.5. Kyle's going to hear that news from our beach commentators right now. We can see on the pulled back shot, Owen Wright jumping off of the ski and going to join Kaio Ibelli and Federico Moraes out in the takeoff zone.
Wow, 6.6. The highest score on that was a 7. Wow, I thought that was
what do you think, Potts?
pretty good surfing. Showed some variety, showed some obviously power, finished off strong. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good surfing to me.
Yeah. Well, and with that, there's kind of like two contests going on in a way. We're in our set right here. We're looking at a screen. The judges are looking out towards the ocean and seeing the pulled back view and seeing everything live action. So we have a glimpse here, but the judges, there's a little bit more perspective, and they're throwing down the numbers. The wise men up in the tower. And here we go with Owen, right? And a little bit of gamesmanship by Kaio Ibelli, utilizing priority to keep Owen off, but unable, did the defense there, but no offense came through there. No additional scores for Kaio Ibelli. I don't know. What do you think about that? That was some gamesmanship. It's the game of surfing right now. What do you think about that, Potts?
Well, it was tactics, obviously. The Kaio needed, he figured Owen was going to drop a big score on that wave, so using the priority situation to hold Owen off that wave. Even if you don't win these heats, it really does matter that first and second spot, because it determines who you come up against in the next round. In the next heat, we're looking at Mick Fanning, Sebastian Zietz, and John Florence. So all three of those guys are amazing out here. And that second and third determines who really you come up against in the next round. So that fight for second and third is still very, very important. So even if you don't win, you're still in with another shot, but it determines who you come up against in the next round. Here we go.
Non-elimination round. Heat leader, Federico Moraes. His job here is to better 7.5. He's not going to do it there. So it's just going to flip priority. Owen Wright is sitting out in the takeoff zone with first priority, and a big need for Owen Wright. A 9.5. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and see if Owen can come back as well. Stick around for more of the Rip Curl Pro. This guy's coming up, heat number 2. we go with Owen Wright looking for a comeback here in heat number 1, round of number 4. We're at the Rip Curl Pro. And here goes Owen. Oh, and a little bit of a heartbreak there with wave selection, Potts.
Yeah, well, it's tricky out there, you know, and you know, with the 3 surfers in the lineup, it's sometimes you get pushed a little deeper than you want to be, and you know, sometimes you kind of pull the trigger. He had to go, really, because look at Frederico. Frederico was keeping him honest right there. Had Owen let that go, Frederico would have been in the perfect position. So again, maybe a little bit of defense from Owen, thinking, look, there's 8.5 to go. I've still got a shot. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this set coming through. This is what we've been waiting for. It's been kind of a sleepy start to this heat. We haven't seen any big set waves. Now we're going to see all these guys get cleaned up. And that's the thing at Bells Beach. Every single surfer is going to cop this on the head. There we go. That's what we've been waiting for. The ocean is starting to come alive, and that is solid right there. That is a big wave. These guys are going to all have to deal with the white water. See Kaya pushing under. He's going to get knocked backwards, as is Frederico and Owen. So it's going to be hard to be in position for those sets too, Kaipo. It's going to be hard to, you know, anticipate them coming through. Sort of random at the moment. Once that swell fills in, we're going to have sort of more of an idea. Okay, every 4 or 5 minutes we're going to see a big bomb come through. So these guys will time that, obviously, and be on it, you know. And obviously the next heat are going to be keeping their eyes wide open and know that, okay, every now and again there's going to be a big bomb. So whether you have someone on the beach waving an orange flag like Snake,
yeah,
or whatever the case is, to give you a little bit of an idea. If you've got experience, you'd be looking up towards center side, where the sets hit first, and it'll give you about a 10 or 15 second window to get your butt into the lineup properly and avoid those big sets.
Well, Big Bells liken it to Sunset Beach. It to me is a time bandit in which it steals time away from the clock. When big sets come through, you know, that's now you got to reposition. You have to handle all of those, that big white water on your head. And meanwhile, this clock just continues to tick away, tick away, tick away. And that's good news for Frederico Moraes. That's bad news for Kaiwi Belly and Owen Wright. Not to mention, Potts, think about the mental game for these guys. They got put out first heat in the morning. We went on that fog delay. They had to come in, regather themselves, try to stay warm, and then go back out to do battle. So it's been a long morning for these 3 surfers in heat number 1.
It's been a long morning for us.
For us too, yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you. You know, it's been able to switch off and switch on, and that's why this event is so special, because of that fact. You know, the guy that wins this event's it's a roller coaster ride of emotions, and being able to, you know, utilize that energy absolutely correctly. You've got to be able to peak at the right time, know when to switch off, and know when to crank it up. So it's a head game as well as a physical act, balancing act, and that's why we love coming to Bells Beach so much.
Kaiwi Belly needs 8.5. That's the number he's looking for. Nice little turn off the top to start off. Double pump off the bottom, a little skidder there. Regathers for another carve. Getting a little bit trickier on this inside section. You can see a little more skidder on his rail again, bouncing through these turns. Handles that one. Let's see what kind of finish he has for us. Up through the lip, glides, gets out in front of the white water.
Nice finish.
What?
Yeah, nice finish.
8.5 is the requirement. What do you think, Potts?
I don't think he's going to get it. I think that last turn was fantastic. Although it's, you know, to be able to deal with that lump and bump and still react and throw the rail down, and, you know, even though those bottom turns, he kind of lost a little bit of speed, he still managed to open up with some beautiful turns. So
there it is.
Let's have a look. I mean, it's a difficult wave to ride, and you've got to take that into consideration as well. Nice opening turn, just setting the rail, making sure he's in the right place. Comes off the bottom, bit of bounce, but deals with it nicely. You can see he's still carrying speed through his turns. And again, just holding that rail through that, very difficult to do as well. Comes around the section. What's he got? Bangs it up through the lip, just setting this inside turn. Comes around the section, pumping, and then bang. That was a dynamic maneuver right there to finish off for Kaiwi Belly. So 8.50. Is that the best wave of the heat? What's going to have to be if he wants to move up into that first spot?
Certainly had a dynamic ending, like you said, Potts. We're going to see how that factors in. A little bit, you know, had to get through some difficult water earlier in the wave. We'll see. judges continue to deliberate, and we're going to look at live action here from Federico Moraes, our heat leader and tour rookie, looking to improve upon his low of a 7.5. That was an aggressive snap by Federico. Comes around that difficult whitewater climb that we talked about earlier, handled perfectly from the big guy from Cascais. Closing maneuver up into the lip, and that's all he's going to get. Owen Wright back to the wall. Goofy Footer throws the tail out the back, fins flying. Comes around this section again, and just a little bit of excitement perhaps, and goes incomplete.
Well, Owen's figured out he's behind the 8 ball. He needs to crank it up. And sometimes at Bells, when you have that sense of urgency, things kind of don't work out the way you want them to. Pushing a lot harder on that turn. Let's have a look at O-Dog here. Just nice, sort of smooth start to the wave. Nothing too crazy. This is where he starts to open up a little bit more. I love that turn from Owen Wright. That's just incredible stuff. And again, just throws the tail out. So on his way again to a good score. And let's have a Federico Moraes needing to better a 7.5 if he wants to increase his score line. Setting that first turn up, and that's what you got to do here at Bell. Just make sure you get that first maneuver nicely, which he did. Bit of a jam in the pocket, up and over the top, which is tricky to do today. Bumpy through that midsection, but you've got to react to what the wave lets you do. Obviously, the judges don't like cutbacks, but if that wave offer cutbacks, you have to do them to finish off that nice inside maneuver. So I think he could have cranked it up a little bit more through that inside turn. But he's looking to better a 7.5. Kayo needing an 8.5. This is going to be a very interesting exchange.
Kayo, live action. A nice downturn and a beautiful carve under the lip, laying back. Look at the smooth face that he's found here. Another carve for Kyle Ibelli. Come around this section, eyeing where he's going to place his maneuver. Gets back to the open face. Had to skip around that section as it drew all the way into the channel here at Bells, and Kyle just continues to hammer away. Gets through the lip, and that one, unfortunately,
takes him down.
Not the finish, and takes him down.
I like the intent, I think he's really hooking into his turns a lot more than the other two surfers. Just seems to me like he's got a bit more confidence at the moment. He's just driving through his maneuvers. 8.5, we still owe we've owed a couple of scores here still from Kyle. We're still waiting for this one here. This is the score that we're still waiting for to drop, and the judge is having a look at it. You can see he's just really laying into his turns a little bit harder, and not scared to go for it. This turn right here, solid finish from Kayo, and he's an 8.5 required from him, and that score drops in.
8.03, not enough for Kyle Ibelli. Now looking for a 7.47. Here's a look, judges' review of Federico Moraes.
Yeah, Federico looking to improve on a 7.5. Maybe, I'm not seeing it really. I thought that 7.5 way better than this wave. So we're still waiting for one more score from Kayo. Needs a 7.47 on his last roll of the dice. A little bit of a safety maneuver there for Federico to finish that wave off. So I'm not seeing his scoreline improve. Owen's just got that first turn down pat. I love that, how he just gets that tail release out of the back of the wave and then just pushes a little bit too hard. So Owen is still going to be down in that third spot. The question is, Kayo's last ride, is that better than a 7.47? It's going to have to be to get himself in the lead. I thought it was a pretty solid wave. Just he showed a bit more conviction. 8.03 on his last wave. This is his last wave. Good solid wave as well. You can see how he sort of drives into that first turn. Beautiful maneuver. This next turn is where the money's going to come from. Hooking into there. That's critical stuff from Kayo. And again off the bottom, jamming it in the lip. Waiting for this finish. Now, kind of missed that section a little bit, but then reacted nicely to get around it. So important to read the wave here perfectly. Sometimes if you force that maneuver, you're going to come unstuck. Kayo looking for the finish. Nice little slashing maneuver. and then really goes for broke on this end section. Unfortunately, goes down. So if there's any negative, that's going to be it. But I thought he'd done a lot of hard work through that beginning of the wave. That second turn, that jam in the pocket with a bit of fin release was a critical maneuver to do.
I agree with you, Potts. I think in contrast to that 8.03 that Kyle got already locked in, where he finished super strong with that dynamic maneuver. The score we're waiting for is by merit of these beautiful turns on the outside that we're taking a look at right now.
Yeah, I just think that even though the finish wasn't as strong, I thought the beginning was stronger.
I agree.
So it's going to come, it's going to come down to what they think about those first couple of turns. Were they strong enough?
Yeah. Well, can Kyle
waiting.
Belli steal the heat from Federico Moraes? The judges are reviewing this. They're taking a look at it again and again before assigning a number. So a potential heat steal. We'll see Kyle Belli looking to the shore. He wants the news. And is he going to like the news? Yes, he is. An 8.43.
Yep.
Last wave, Kyle Belli steals the heat over Federico Moraes and Owen Wright. And like we said, the sneaky, powerful guy from Brazil, Guarujá, is going to the quarterfinals. Potts.
Yeah, he's about half the size of Federico and Owen, but surfed that wave like as strong as he could. Good performance.
Well, we're going to be back with another heater. Mick Fanning, Sebastian Zietz, John Florence. Stick around for more of the Rip Curl Pro.
John Florence, victorious at the Dragaway Mark River Pro.
It was the most dominant performance I've ever seen at an event.
I'm stoked to be back in the G Leaders jersey. I don't feel so much pressure as I did last year when I first got it.
It's pretty unanimous that we all think that John's performance is lifted.
If anything, I feel better. I feel more confident. I feel less pressure. I feel more excited. I'm more prepared.
Oh my goodness, just stops it. Bells Beach, home of the Rip Curl Pro. We're back. Round 4, heat number 2, and what a heat it is. 4-time bell ringer Mick Fanning against Sebastian Zietz and current ratings leader John Florence, all out in the water. Kaipagura along with 89 champ Martin Potter for the call. And while we were away, this happened.
Yeah, this happened. Well, one of the winningest surfers here at Bells Beach, Mick Fanning. And what a way to start. Look at the wave he's on. Wave selection is immaculate when it comes to Mick Fanning here. You'd bet your house on it that he's going to have a good result here every time he puts the jersey on at Bells Beach. Just classic Mick Fanning style. And positioning absolutely perfect. The crowd loved that wave from Mick Fanning. He's one of the favorites here. And this is live action.
Here we go. Seabass, Sebastian Zietz coming around this section. And a beautiful carve for Seabass. Waves getting steeper here. Let's see what he's got. And he's got that grab rail, has to hold in control and goes incomplete. So not how, the way that Seabass wanted to start the heat. Here we go. JJF, John Florence, frothy face. Little hook for John. Another beautiful wrapping top turn. Gets another wrap in. A little bit of the frothy water that John has to deal with here as he comes through this inside section. And lip lining is bounced off on his heels. So,
Well.
again, not the start that John wanted.
Interesting wave choice too. I mean, that was considerably smaller wave than his opponents. A lot of white water on the face of the wave, so traditionally harder to surf. I think John just wanted to get the ball rolling. You know, I think he had in his mind the time frame of when he was going to paddle out. Obviously, we were delayed for about an hour, but you could see from the get-go, this wave had a lot of white water on, which normally is harder to surf. But I mean, this guy's so good; he can take off on a marginal wave and still produce good scores. So, John just carving his way through, just that classic style. I love that. A little bit of extra at the end of each turn. Kind of missed that one a little bit. Now he realizes he's got to do something special here to try and get that score, and catches that outside rail and goes down. So a little bit of a mistake right there from John. Sebastian Zietz flies around this section. Beautiful first turn here from Seabass. Now watch this bottom turn. See how low and down the bottom he gets? What happens is you wipe off a lot of speed and then mistakes come. So you're not going to see Mick or Joel do those kind of bottom turns unless you are absolutely flying. That leash is caught around his front foot, so maybe some psychological sort of, you know, when that happens, Kaipo, it's kind of awkward really, isn't it? When you get that front leash around the front foot, it kind of puts you off just a little bit. Big sets out the back, and it looks like Mick Fanning in position.
Fanning opening up with a 7.83, and that's a great score. He's going to back that up with this wave here. Let's see what he's got. He has that patented Fanning swoop to start with. Nurses his way through a roundhouse cutback, rebounds off the whitewater. Good looking wave and a grab rail cutback for a little bit of variety. Really tilting that board on the rail. Double pump off the bottom and just hooks it off the top. White Lightning surfing fast, powerful, layback snap. Got more. Lip glide through there. No problem with that difficult section, and the closing maneuver, and stomps it. Throws the board away. Mick Fanning, that's how you have a 77% winning percentage.
All right, well, Joel Parkinson put 10 fingers up, and I kind of can't disagree with that. I don't think there was much more you could have done on it. Good solid wave, just paced himself through the first part of it, and you see how there's no, he didn't try and oversurf those first couple of turns, did he? And what that did was it just put him in such good rhythm through that inside bowl. I'm calling like top end of excellent. So, you know, 9.5 upwards without a doubt.
Love to take a second look at it.
Well, let's have a look. Good solid wave, and watch his first turn, just setting it up, nice, clean. Waits for it to come down. Now he starts to hook into that nice, smooth, clean surfing. No rushing, not trying to oversurf it, not trying to do anything too radical. He knows that the best part of the wave's yet to come. Now it starts to stand up vertical, and Mick Fanning reacts with a beautiful snap in the pocket. Critical stuff. This next turn as well, amazing. Hooking into it, showing some variety, showing some power, carrying that speed and flow through this wave. Perfectly red wave from Mick Fanning, and it finishes strong. Flicks the board out, that felt good. And as I said, upper echelon of an excellent wave for Mick Fanning. One of the best out here, really. I mean, he's on his way to a beautiful score, and he knows it. You can see how he's taking his time. He's reading the wave perfectly. He knows that he's going to stand up through the inside, gets himself in position, waits for it to stand up. Now it does. See him, the little check turn, carries the speed through his maneuvers. So important. Critical stuff. That turn put him right in the guts of the wave. Now he's flying down through the inside, and this is where that radical snap comes in, just throws a tail out, and perfect positioning, perfect timing. Couldn't have done any more on this wave if he tried. Mick Fanning showing us why he is one of the best out here. And Joel Parkinson threw 10 fingers, was it, Kaipo?
Looked like he put a 10 up to me. And speed, power, flow, variety of maneuvers. You got to tick all those boxes on this wave for Mick Fanning. There's our judge right there with Parko, and he says, give him a 10.
Give him a 10. Well, scores are slowly trickling in. It's not going to be a 10, but it is going to be very, very close to a 10.
One more score to drop, and we give you an update, and it's like you said, a 9.93 seventh hundredths of a point away from a 10. And Fanning's back up and surfing. Probably didn't even hear that news. He's just going to surf this one through. Looks like he's having a good time on the Bell's Bowl today, and just has such great technique and read of this wave as well. As Fanning continues to surf through it, now just looking to better his low of a high good score of a 7.83, handles that finish. Big finish, great surfing.
Big wave.
Big wave.
Big turns. Big name, big everything. That was just big.
We just supersized it here already, right?
We have. I think 7.83 is what he needs to better. All of a sudden, John Florence and Sebastian Zietz in a combo situation. 17.77 before that last wave from Mick Fanning. He's surfing well, isn't he?
You know what? He is on fire. And this guy, John, this is putting John in a position that he hasn't been in yet this year.
Well, let's see it.
Yeah.
Right?
We haven't seen John really have his back against the wall, severely.
He's kind of had it all his own way, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Up until right now.
So we're going to see how the current world champ reacts to one of the best surfers at Bells Beach ever in Mick Fanning. And we're still standing by for the third wave ridden by Mick Fanning. Priority out on the water sits with Sebastian Zietz and John trying to digest what's going on. He's our current Jeep leader.
Wait till they digest what's about to get dropped, and it's going to be even more so. Kaipo, have a look at that score, that last wave from Mick Fanning. Excellent surfing again.
8.93 for a total for Mick Fanning of an 18.86 out of a possible 20. Commanding lead for the three-time world champ, four-time bell ringer, Mick Fanning.
Four-time. Going for number 5 to just outdo Kelly Slater and Mark Richards. He's the only one that can at this point. Kelly out of the event. I'm sure he's sitting back watching this very closely.
Well, Potts, we got Waz out in the water. Strider Wazalewski. What's it look like from your perspective, Strider?
It's amazing out here. It's these walls, if you painted them clay, they'd look like the Bell's Bluffs coming at you. They're beautiful, these big, long walls. There's that little bit of the north chatter wind coming across it, but the velocity of the waves makes it look offshore just from lip falling. It's pretty incredible. These guys having to surf the wave to the pace. They're flying through the water, but they look like they're moving slow, just like the waves, but there's just so much moving. Everything seems like it's in slow motion, but these guys are just flowing with the walls. Those waves that Mick caught, just so impressive to watch him tempo, the pace, the turns, like that long rail. He must be on a pretty solid board. He's just got a beautiful line through it.
Thanks, Strider, and thanks for the insight there. Yeah, we'll try to catch up and see what Fanning's on. Darren Hanley designed, but more specifics on it. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, well, this was a bigger set. It broke a little wider. We saw Caio Belli opt to do that as well, and I think dropped one of his keepers. So Mick Fanning knows his place so well, and realizing that, hey, the boys are out of position, so I'm just going to react. I'm going to get this wave, and I'm going to belt it all the way through. Wave selection is very, very important here at Bells. Unlike other spots where you can manufacture scores from smaller waves due to due to high performance. Bells, you need the wave. I mean, you saw the difference. John taking off on a mediocre wave with a bit of white water on it. No matter what he did on that, it was going to be hard for him to get a score. 5.83 on that occasion. Mick on a bigger wave, let the wave be the hero. 8.93 as his opponents comboed.
Sebastian Zietz wants to surf his way out of the combo and off to a nice start with a couple of beautiful turns. Goes for that rail grab top turn again and didn't serve him well yet again. Yeah. So another incomplete for Sebastian Zietz, and the time ticks away. So the surfer out of Kilauea on the island of Kauai needs to get back out there.
Well, hope he's okay.
Something's going on.
Sometimes when you get stuck in that white water, no, he's all right. I think he's just getting the jet ski back out, repositioning. Sometimes when you come back around, you hit that whitewater, there's so much turbulence. It's really easy to get knocked off your board, and you're falling down this avalanche of whitewater with your board spearing through, and sometimes it's easy to connect with it. Looks like he's okay. He just wanted to get on the ski and just shake that one off. Reposition in the lineup. Both John and Seabass have got a lot of work to do with 20 minutes to go. So plenty of time. And I'm excited to see how and if John can climb his way out of the situation. Seabass as well. Let's have a look at what happened here. First turn. Nice, beautiful style. He draws low off the bottom again. Grabs that rail and brings it a bit too far around, and that whitewater just swallows him up. So unfortunate for Seabass there. That's the second time he's done that. So let's hope he doesn't do that again.
Back to live action. John winding up. Beautiful hack off the top, carve, and brings that second turn all the way around. A little bit smaller wave, but a smooth face for John. Little variety of maneuvers, choosing a different turn every single time. John looking, eyeing up this inside, and throws it, spins it, and stands up out of it.
Well, this is what we wanted to see, right?
That was the answer back.
This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see John pushed because we want to see the best out of him.
Well, here's a guy that's pushing him, and pushing him in a big way, Mick Fanning. Beautiful carve. Fanning, long trot, and just attacks that turn, throwing the tail in a layback snap. Now looking for more open face. He finds it and continues to work this wave over as we come through the inside section here. And just the rail finesse by Mick Fanning, just incredible. And you can see why this guy's one of the winningest surfers at this particular venue, as he finishes off completely in control and looking on point. Mick Fanning.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see what kind of score drops for John, because anything over, well, he needs nines, really. Yeah. I mean, he needs a 9 to put himself back in this heat. You know, if he drops a 9, he's going to need another 9 kind of, or another high 8. Let's have a look at John here, opting for a smaller wave, like that little fade off the top. And this is the kind of surfing we saw from Margaret River. That turn there featured big at Margaret River, and it gathered him huge 2-wave totals. And again, John hooking into that. There's 3 solid maneuvers from the surfer in the yellow jersey. Nice wrapping turn. And then, you know what? He knows he's got his back against the wall. And this is what we wanted to see from John. We wanted to see what he can do, and that's what he can do. Standing tall, saying, what? You want to see some? This is what I've got for you. This first turn, as you said, featured big at Margaret River. And we were just waiting for it to happen, and it's starting to happen now. We're going to see massive scores for John's last ride, and we said he's going to need big scores to get himself out of this combo situation, and guess what?
He got one.
He got one.
A 9.57 right here for John as we see this replay of how he got to that 9.57. It was with beautiful surfing like this, and also being able to work his way to the exclamation point at the end of the sentence right here.
So clean, so easy, so effortless. And he looks up and says, what?
What?
You think I'm not in this heat? Well, John Florence has got himself right back in it. Mick Fanning, now he knows he needs to crank it up. He's just heard that score come through. An 8.93 is what he needs to better. Hooking into that turn right there from Mick Fanning. Got a little bit caught behind the section, but you know what? Back on it on the open face. Now Mick finds these waves. It just keeps offering him opportunities, and that he's just going to keep answering. Beautiful wraparound turn, showing some variety. Through the inside, he's got to surf out of his skin to try and really better his situation. He knows John is on a bit of a roll coming back at him. We've got a great heat on our hands. Come on, Seabass. I want to get Seabass back into this heat as well.
Seabass wants back in. Here we go. Let's see what he's got for us. Seabass winding up off the bottom and having to kind of nurse his way through that first turn. Comes back, and it's another better turn for Sebastian Zietz from Kauai, and he just is surfing his way. However, you know, looking like he's battling a little bit with this wave. Yeah. And the wave won again against Seabass. Here we go with John. backing up. That 9.57, 9.3 or better is what he needs. Nice first turn. Carves into a second. Off the bottom, layback. Hacking, loses the fins, and you can see the frustration on the face of John Florence. Maybe a little bit of surprise. A little bit of surprise from you too, Potts.
Well, just no surprise. I mean, he pushed that hard on that turn. I mean, something's got to give, right? But that was amazing stuff. He was definitely on his way to another big score there, and he knew it. So, yes, a little bit of frustration. Let's have a look at John. First turn, very important here at Bells Beach, and he connects with it beautifully. Waiting for it. And now that searing maneuver. Okay, let's see something special, which is what he's saying. Just kind of skipped out. You know, you heard about Strider talking about a little bit of reverb up the face, and maybe John connected with that.
Well, we got Strider on the water. Strider, can you give us some insight on what happened there for the last turn of John Florence?
Yeah, boys. Kipes, what happened was, he was really laying down some beautiful lines on the outside, had found rhythm, and looked like he really wanted to exclamation point the wave, like really do a hard turn, and he came up into the bowl, and that northeast wind chop was coming across the wave, and we saw him deal with it really well at Margaret's, where he would turn down off of it. Well, he tried to push through it, and he actually did that. His board actually pushed through the back of it, and it threw him off, and he caught the rail and went down. So unfortunately, kind of a mistimed maneuver. I think maybe carving down the face of that again would have been maybe a smarter choice, but I think he's really trying to push, obviously knowing Mick Fanning is out in front right now. He needs another 9 to claw back into this.
Strider, was there a little bit of frustration after that maneuver from John, or did it seem like an opportunity lost there?
Yeah, most definitely. Looking back 2 and 3, maybe even 4 times at the wave as it peeled off down the inside, knowing there was a lot more opportunity on the wave, knowing that, he's just left that possibility of that, 9 to high 9 on the table. That's going to get you, ruffle your feathers. He's going to go back out, reset. He does not have priority. He's actually in 3rd priority now, so that's going to be rough, but could work to his advantage with those double ups coming through underneath priority.
Thanks, Strider. And we saw the draw this morning, and we knew that this was going to be a great matchup here, round 4, heat number 2. So there you go. And you guys watching at home and playing fantasy surfing knew this was going to be a great matchup as well, because the public's spoken. 83% of you put Mick Fanning on your fantasy team. 90% of you put John Florence on your fantasy team.
Yeah. So probably the top 2 guys right there.
Yeah, and just 17% of you put Seabass on your fantasy team as a tier B pick. Again, fantasy surfing, you got it right at worldsurfleague.com, or you can play it right on the mobile app.
Well, you talk about how tough this heat was going to be just on paper before it even hit the lineup, but the next one too, Ezekiel Lau, Felipe Toledo, Adriano de Souza, that's going to be a cracker. And then to finish off this round, Wiggly Dantes, Joel Parkinson and Jordy Smith. So we have still got some big guns, some incredible Bells surfers left. Former champion de Souza, former champion Parkinson. And then you look at Felipe Toledo, who's back on fire. Here we go.
John takes it under priority, opens up with a beautiful carve, keeping the board on rail. Layback, just throwing everything at it, and Bells pushes back. John just keeping things clean through this section. Has some good outside turns. Let's see what he gets on the inside here. There you go with an aggressive snap, throwing the tail, pushing on the back foot, winding up for the finish, looks for an opportunity, hucks it, spins it, and goes incomplete, unfortunately, because he traveled just so far. Here we go. Seabass wants to get back into this heat pots and needs to, because time's ticking down. Frothy face for Sebastian. Keeping the rails clean. Back and forth. Hooks it. Snap. Short radius snap. And again, looking like not the Seabass I'm used to. Struggling a little bit. Throws the layback, though, and just says, well, and had that. Heavy.
Yeah. Bell said no.
No.
You don't have that.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Unfortunate there for John as well. You heard Strider talk about the fact that sometimes with that 3rd priority, you get that freedom to roam through the inside, and John was well and truly on his way to a massive score. I reckon had he finished that last turn off, we could could easily have seen a 9.3 drop. First turn, back into the power pocket. And again, right there, look at that, just laying right into it. Using both those hands to pivot on. Both those arms were dug deep into the face of the wave. I love that where he just steps on the tail, waits for it. Now he starts to react, hooking into that turn. So I'm calling well and truly on his way to an excellent score here. And then waiting for it. You can tell when he does this, something special is going to happen. Boom! Look at the distance covered, and unfortunately, he doesn't quite pull that off. 9.3. Kaipo? My initial thought was, if he had have made that,
oh yeah,
it was on.
Oh yeah.
And Mick Fanning would have been scratching his head saying, well, hang on a sec.
What a comeback.
I had these guys comboed, right? And that's the testament of the true grit that John has. And this is what we wanted to see. Like you said, we haven't seen this happen really with John, where someone has put him against the wall, back up against the wall, and John comes out swinging. I want to see more of that. Come on.
Well, we got 10 minutes, 25 seconds counting down. And we're crossing our fingers to see more of that and the fight back from John Florence. But so far, it's been a really, really great, clean performance by Mick Fanning, who's currently in the lead.
Yeah, but you know what? That weakness at 8.93, you know, that any other heat, maybe not a weakness, but up against the champ, I mean, you need nines, right? You need high scoring 9-point rides to you know, Mick needs another 9 for sure. And he knows that. 9 minutes and 50 seconds to go. This heat is nowhere near over. I mean, look at the scores dropping for John's last ride. Kipes?
8.57. So, right. Like you said, Potts, he would go to got that 9.3. He would have got that 9.3.
Yeah, it was up there with Mick's 9.93, and we would have seen a lead change. So, and Mick knows that too. Mick's not taking his foot off the gas, and he needs to better that 8.93. All of a sudden, cruise control for Mick Fanning has turned into a downshift into the power band and needs to crank it up on the next wave.
Oh, John Florence with his back against the wall. We saw in heat number 1 of this round a guy with his back up against the wall, and he fought back for a heat win. Coyote Bellies with Barton Lynch.
Well, there's some excitement in the air this morning, and no one's more excited than Coyote Belly. Good heat win there, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, that was, feels like it was super fun, but super tiring at the same time. Doors are kind of big. Like after the 6th turn in the same wave, like your legs are just trying to give up on you, and after like this long Australian lag, like at the last event, almost the body started feeling like a little funny. But yeah, I'm glad last wave I got the score, and stoked to just skip this round that I always been in at round 5. It's so hard. It's like you're just like one more heat, and the waves are kind of big, so you get even more tired. So stoked to just be able to relax until the quarterfinals.
And tell us about the old jet ski assist. Got to be a help, and then the conditions in general.
Yeah, the jet ski assist helps a lot. The guys are spot on. They finish their wave, they're already there waiting for you. So yeah, that helps a lot. And it's just like when you're trying to do your bass in the wave, like the jet ski, like you don't really worry about paddling back, which is the most tiring part. So you just save for the good ones. And yeah, the conditions are super fun. Like the waves are getting cleaner and cleaner, and the boys are ripping.
And you needed a score at the end there. You needed that 7.57, I suppose, and you dropped the 8.4. Satisfying.
Yeah, like I couldn't hear. I thought I needed 8.5. I couldn't hear my last score, and Mick was like, "Hey, dude, you got an 8," and I'm like, "I don't know about that. I need an 8.5." When I heard 8.4, and I'm like, "Oh, just short," and Mick was like, "No, I told you you had an 8," and I'm like, super stoked. I was super nervous. I'm like, okay, I think I did enough on the wave. It was a big set, and yeah, I'm super glad that wave came in the last minute.
Well, enjoy that rest for round 5, mate, and see you in the quarters.
Thank you. I want to say hi to my family, my girlfriend Alyssa. She had a really bad knee problem in Barbados. She's getting better in California. Hi, love. I see you soon, and my family and all the boys in Brazil. Obrigado, galera. Valeu.
Thank you, mate.
All right, yeah, Kyle, and saying hi to his girlfriend, Alyssa Quazam, one of the power surfing couples.
Hurt herself, injured her knee.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Hope she's okay.
But talk about a great surfing couple.
Yeah, power couple, right?
Rippers. All right. Well, Potts, 6 minutes 45 seconds on the clock, counting down. Mick Fanning, 9.93, 8.93. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the conclusion of this heat number 2, round number 4 here at the Rip Curl Pro. Stick around. back at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. We can see a graphic of all of the bell ringers. We got Mick Fanning out of the lead. He's got 4 bells to his credit, and he wants a 5th one to surpass Kelly Slater and Mark Richards. Kaipoguro along with 89 bell ringer Martin Potter.
Yeah, I only got one there. You're going to have to go way down the list to find my little bell, but as the names there, pretty amazing. The caliber of surfer that it takes to do well here at Bells Beach. You know, to be in that mix with Mick, Kelly, Mark Richards, Sonny Garcia, Michael Peterson. It's those guys are amazing athletes, amazing surfers, amazing power surfers.
Potts, that's what makes this event such a iconic event, is the list of champions. Right now, we have Mick Fanning out in the lead with that 18.86. It's the second highest heat total that we've seen so far in competition. Only one other guy has gone north of that, and that's Felipe Toledo with a 19.7 that he was able to put together on a near perfect heat. But Fanning just showing why he has that high heat win percentage here at the Rip Curl Pro. 77% of the time,
yep,
Fanning wins heats here.
Well, he's already got an 18.20 under his belt, and it's only round 4, so he's not done yet. But he's got his work cut out for him. Here he goes. He's got to better that 8.93, and he's paddling.
Just scrapes into it. Fanning off the bottom. Beautiful carve that we're used to seeing from White Lightning. And again, a little shorter radius snap. This wave may not have as much opportunity as some of the previous ones, but Fanning is going to continue to surf this wave all the way in and finish up. Probably not one of his top 2s, given that he has a 9.93 and an 8.93.
Look at this, though.
Look out for John Florence. Rolls into this wave and sets up for a gouging maneuver off the top, throwing his feet above his head. And one more time, going to have to hang on through that bounce section, and goes incomplete. Wow. 3 minutes remaining, Potts. And John's going to have to make quick work of it. Seabass is going to go on to round number 5. He's in a combination right now of 18.87.
Poor Seabass.
So non-losers round.
No,
he can come back, and it might be good for him with the reseeding.
I think it is good for him. I mean, it's it is what it is. He's come up against 2 guys that are just on fire.
Let's check in with Strider out in the water.
Yeah, John just paddling by, you know, obviously coming off on that one. He really attacked that thing with so much velocity in the lip and the wall. The first turn the same, and then the second turn just a little bit late to the party, and it took him down. That thing rolled him for a while underwater. Out the back right now, though, Seabass looking like he's on a heater, looking beautiful. You know, really a lot of water coming up the face, so hard to finish your turns out here, but Seabass grinds into another one. Set up carve right there. Looking for something on the inside right here. Take it away, boys.
All right, Seabass squaring up here on the inside section and does a good carve off the top. Winds up, layback, throws a hack, and does a great job. Little lip glide to finish. Nice finish for Sebastian Zietz.
Yeah, the crowd loved it too. That was definitely a good way for Seabass.
John goes for the giant alley-oop and sticks it. Throws up the hand, says, what more do you want? I'm going to go show you some more. He's looking for a 9.3. Let's see what this wave has in store for the end. One big maneuver for John Florence in search of that 9.3. This is going to be interesting.
No, it's going to be the score. It's what it's going to be. What do you mean interesting? That was incredible. I mean, the board was fluttering in the air, and the ability to pull that off. I mean, that was... You know, we always talk about how bells, you got to put the wave together to get the score. Well, not if your name's John Florence.
Well, this could be shocking for Mick Fanning, who's been in some great form and dropping giant scores. I want to take another 20 looks at this, actually.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look as he flies down the line, and well, have a look at that. Oh my goodness. He doesn't claim that often, does he?
No.
So when something feels pretty good, I mean, let's have a look at the slow-mo. I mean, this is a solid wave. This is a solid 6-foot plus wave. little bit of a tweak there to get that momentum flying the right way. No hands. Feet are coming off the board. The board flutters. He corrects it with his toes. I mean, come on. Seriously.
What is it? Free surfing, competition surfing? It's a hybrid of both. Strider, your take.
Oh, are you kidding me? There's a couple seconds left. Fanning's back out in the lineup. I think it's going to tick down, though. That was the craziest thing. He eyeballed that thing up. He looked at the wall and then just threw it into the air with that wind perfectly coming across from the northeast, from the back of the wave, and just saw the section, identified it as he paddled into it, and he just was watching it the whole time. And for him to take that moment, seize it, and then stick it, you know, I couldn't see the landing. All I saw him was like, it looked like he was 10 feet in the air from where I was.
Well, Strider was a little bit higher than 10 foot in the air, let me tell you right now. That was incredible stuff from John Florence, but we're still waiting for the score to drop. I think the judges are trying to digest what just went down. Mick Fanning had them in a combo situation, a big combo as well, 18.87. And then John dropped the 9.57, looking for a 9.30.
Still taking a look at it, the judges, as the John Swarm continues to grow as he makes his way on the beach, looking confident. And what a maneuver again, just the tweakage on that.
PK hit the nail on the head. That was ridiculous, is what that was. Let's have a look again in slow-mo. Good solid wave. I mean, that is almost double overhead for John. I love that little, as he gets up, you see him starting to get the body right, flying as high as I've ever seen here at the Bells Bowl. The wind wanted to take the board away from his feet. He used his toes, his heels, every single ounce of his ability to pull that off, and he doesn't do that, man. No. Let me tell you right now, I don't think I've ever seen John claim. First time we've ever seen a claim. Score's starting to come through, and if this is not a 10, I will be very, very surprised.
Well, a little bit of a surprise. It's just short, a 9.97 for a historic maneuver. John Florence over Mick Fanning and Sebastian Zietz. Ross Williams happy with that performance. Wow, Potts.
Yeah, wow.
Hang on to your seats.
Speechless.
This is wonderful.
Mick Fanning's walking up the beach right now going, what do I have to do to win a heat against John? Because that was... I mean, we knew as soon as Mick dropped those bombs on him, John was just going to let loose, right? And that's exactly what he did.
It was really good to see a historic maneuver like that happen with a jersey on here at the Rip Curl Pro. That was amazing.
Is there anything this kid cannot do? That's all. Evidently not, right?
Evidently not.
Well, if you are not entertained right now, then there is something seriously wrong with you.
What a day. We went on fog delay. We came out of it and just have had two great heats to open up this round number 4 for the men's at the Rip Curl Pro. John Florence. That's how you keep that Jeep Yellow Leaders jersey. That's how you keep it, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's catch up. Straight out of the water with Barton Lynch. He's with John.
Yes, mate, down here with John. Well, it kind of looked like you were up against it. Mick got off to such an amazing start, and there were a couple of falls in there, but none of that mattered, did it, in the end, because you were able to pull out that one move, and one move was enough.
Oh, yeah, I was super stoked just to get that last one. I was kind of thinking when that wave was coming in, just like, oh, if I could just do a big alley-oop, it would be really nice, and that worked out so nicely. I'm super stoked. It's such an gnarly heat. You know, Mick's such an amazing surfer to surf against, and it really motivates me. And I was just looking at it. He was like, oh, okay, he's got some big scores. This is going to be fun to try to come back at. And just to come back at that, I was stoked.
Oh, that was a hell of a comeback. Listen, we talked about claims here before you even went out. There's a couple in that heat, a nice stand tall, and then on that alley-oop, you couldn't help yourself. Had to let it out.
Yeah, I think just against Mick, just get so excited and just the claims come out.
Yeah, it was beautiful, mate. Congratulations on an amazing performance, an amazing maneuver. Highlight reels looking good.
Thank you.
All right, well, you know what? Look at John's stoked, and he's raised the bar. We're going to be back with heat number 3 in this round number 4. Ezekiel Lau, Felipe Toledo, and Adriano de Souza. We're bringing in Ronnie and Pete for the call.
Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach Stop 3 on the WSL Championship Tour, and we are all jumping out of our skin after that last heat. What an exchange. John Florence, world champion-like performance there and getting the job done, landing the move of the contest.
And you knew he was never feeling like he was out of it, because he kept seeing he had that one error at the very end of that one wave that still came in as a big score. And then just the alley-oop on the outside. I mean, has anybody ever done an alley-oop on the bowl like that on a 6 to 8 foot wave?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's why probably, 997.03 off of a perfect 10. But you know what? I guess he could have done more, right? He could have done another one on the inside. Who knows?
That's right. Well, we've got another big heat for you now, Heat 3. A quarterfinal spot up for grabs. We've got a former event champion in the lineup, Adriano de Souza. We've got Zeke Lau, the Hawaiian, on his way to his best finish on the championship tour. And Felipe Toledo, who's still hanging on to the highest heat score total of the event. And he collected those big numbers over at Winky. Let's see how he goes on the bowl. Goes all out on this first section. A bit of wind, though. Pulls him away from his equipment.
Well, we've been having this forecast. We've been very fortunate that it hasn't come earlier. You know, we had this fog over the top of us here, which played a little bit of a role in our delay this morning. But now, the wind, I mean, think about alley-oop wind. This is perfect for Felipe Toledo if you wanted to do that, because that's coming right from the side. It is perfect air wind. But again, John has just set the bar immensely high.
He sure has. You think about Felipe and where his strike rate just goes above every other competitor on the championship tour. It's definitely in the waves in the 4 foot range, but he did kind of switch it up a little bit a couple of years ago in Portugal. He had a final with Italo over there, and he threw down some massive airs in waves that were around about the same size as what we've got here today. So he is definitely capable in this bigger stuff of taking flight and stomping some really big airs that could match what John performed in that last heat.
We've touched on this just privately, having conversations about everyone's form. Felipe, for me...
Let's make it public.
Yeah, no, for me, Felipe has been probably has done the most refinement in his surfing, going from growth, from bigger stuff, and just being able to show that he's by far, in my opinion, one of the most versatile surfers on the planet.
Evolving in the big stuff, getting better all the time. We saw it at Margaret River. He had a semi-final finish there, and he's having a look at an insider here. Looks energized. Has looked that way at the start of all these heats as he throws everything at that first section. I think he is really inspired by what he saw in that last
It's hard
heat.
not to. I mean, when you feel the crowd energy, I was sitting over here, the bleachers, every time Mick was taking a wave, they were pounding their feet, screaming, and it reflects. It goes all the way out to this ocean here, and the energy is tapped into these surfers, and they want to perform. I mean, it's like a huge. It's just this atmosphere is no better. There's certain places that have these great waves, but have no way have that crowd energy. Here, the entire cliff erupts, and it sends it out to the ocean. I mean, look at everyone here on a cloudy couple days after Easter, and there's still a good crowd. You see up on the top of the bluff too. So this whole stadium is just refracting out there, energy alive and well, and especially with what we saw in that last heat, you would say that thing is still buzzing in the lineup.
So Felipe still hanging on to the highest heat score total of the event, but the second and third highest heat score totals both came in that last heat. And while we're waiting for sets to roll in, let's look back once again at John Florence's near perfect ride. Unbelievable. You just know you're going to see a big individual turn in this scenario too, Pete.
Oh, this is big Ehukai, or back door, and he just finds himself lofting. And look at that little shifty. His toes only stayed connected. The board waffles in the wind. He has that much control on that big toe to bring that board perfectly under his feet and landed right on the transition. And of course, number one, you add a 0 to that, almost a 10.
And as Barton pointed out, rare that you see John claiming, but on the occasion like this, where really the crowd is all rooting for a Fanning victory.
Absolutely. They're actually cheering his falls. That was part of it over there. I could hear people going, oh, when John fell on that one air.
That was a pretty small group of people. I think everyone just got
definitely the Rip Curl grandstand.
The same crowd got up on their feet and applauded that amazing move, as we see Jake Patterson there, the coach for Zeke Lau.
Wow, that was a
looking
shot
back.
looking in, yeah.
Here we go, De Souza. I don't think anyone's kept their rails as clean as this former winner throughout the rounds. And let's see if he can smooth out these tricky bumps in the face at the moment. Doing a good job so far as he throws some power into the mix. So a good switch up. And again, just holding that rail from top to bottom and looking for a major finish here. Nice big float. And he stomps it. A great start to the heat. A little more composed than Felipe. But much like his round 3 performance, Peter Mel, just mistake-free surfing.
And he just knows that that's really his biggest strength is how clean his rail work is. No hitches. There was like the first time we ever seen him kind of slow down through a maneuver. But that's such a healthy mix. Like that big round arc to the layback snap to the big lengthy long float. Like good versatility once again. Good variety. You know, and it's going to get more and more challenging as the day goes on and this wind kind of fills in. But look at this section here. That's that arc. He kind of got stuck. First time we've seen it, but he still held his speed through it. And then this turn, just beautiful. And that one was a very critical turn. You see he was up in the lip, and he really, in that carve, that cutback through the maneuver where he ricocheted off the whitewash with speed, carries it all the way into that inside section, squirts out the bottom with more speed. Awesome stuff from Adriano de Souza. Let's check out this again. This is the one where he hitches slightly, but look at, there's a bump, and he motors through it. And then this turn here. And the reason why this is critical is look at where he timed it. Right in the top of that section, lays into it. I mean, that is almost fins all the way out the back on a 5-foot wave with power and juice. And again, this sets it up straight to the bottom, compressing, carrying that speed, and then the roundhouse all the way down. And look at this technique as he drives down there, eyes the bottom of that whitewash section, and just puts the board against it. And that's how you carry speed, when you can just use that whitewater to bounce your board back to the clean open face. Now, ton of speed down the line. And this is where he hang time, you know, get as much hang time as you can. Delay this jump off before the explosion. You see right there, he pushes, gets himself out in front of that explosion right in the last second. I mean, if he had waited any longer, that board would have just blown up between his feet.
A massive number for De Souza on his opening ride, an 8.43. Let's see what the response is like from the big Hawaiian, Zeke Lau. Just a nice pace cut back to get things started. Smooth on that second maneuver again. Quite a bit of board out in front of him. So really stepping up his equipment with the increased swell as he comes through to the inside, looking for a big finish. Nice re-entry, projecting down the line, gaining more speed, and still looking for more. Has those airs he can go to, but the section doesn't really call for it, so he plugs it with a nice vertical hit. And Felipe now at the back. A lot of consistency in the lineup. Great conditions for a 3-man heat. Let's see what Toledo can do as he loads up some speed. Heading through to the inside. Looking like he's going to go to the air. And he plugs a nice air reverse. Stops it with ease, straight into a cutback. Conditions that favour rail surfing and aerials coming through to the inside now. And hits the end section. A solid ride with some high-risk surfing.
Beautiful. I love it. Bring it on. All 3 competitors putting up good numbers now. I loved how Ezekiel Lau didn't get caught up in the emotion of that previous heat and went to his game of, you know what, I am just going to surf a solid heat. That's Jake Patterson talking in his ear going, you know what, you don't need to go out there and do a 10-foot alley-oop. You know how to do this. You can get big scores. Let's take a look at first wave here from Felipe. Now, you saw it coming. Look at it. He's looking, going, okay, where's it at? Where's it at? And he's got this in his repertoire. Boom. All the way around. Lands exactly how he wanted to, right in the transition with speed, right into a roundhouse cutback. You almost wanted him to do it again here. You're like, oh gosh, bring us another one. But instead, a huge hit on that steep section, pulls it down, knows that he needs to get a solid score. As we take a look here at this angle, again, he's going to get the full rotation, straight all the way around. Doesn't grab, ollie. Look at how planted he is on a surfboard. And just lands right on the lip. Look at the foot shift back. Again, he keeps his foot, his back foot back pretty far. You know, he does a shift right here. He's going to have to. Like, somehow he's actually doing a bottom turn. He's going to have to do a shift somewhere. There it is. That's the shift to the back foot. You see it go back now. And then he lays into this roundhouse carve, keeping his speed together, twisting his body. These guys are so good.
And
it's scary.
Paying such close attention to the little details there. You can see Felipe maybe signaling to his caddy that he's having some equipment issues. Strider, any updates from the lineup?
Yeah, it looked like he was waving the board. I think what happened, coming out, that inside move, the transition of that aerial was so perfect. I don't think that's where he would have had any troubles with the board, but on the inside, I think it's where he might have had a buckle or something happen. These boards are just obviously high performance. They have a thin layer of glass on them to keep them as light as possible for that performance, but it looked like that might have been where it went down, because out here, that transition of that air was just so perfect. And, coming out of those moves out here, really hard to do right now with a little bit of chop on the face. So I love that we're seeing big air and progression being scored, as well as those deep carves in the wall, which are almost harder to do just holding a rail through the chop.
Thanks for the update, Strider. Looks like Felipe is signalling to the beach, wants his caddy to meet him after this next ride so he can switch out his equipment. But I guess the other thing, Pete, that's really encouraging for the competitors in the lineup is in that last heat we saw big, have a look at this number just quickly, a 9-point ride for Felipe. So he's out in front. De Souza hanging on to an 8.43. Zeke Lau dropped a 6 on his first wave. But in the last heat we saw Mick Fanning getting excellent scores on the 2 biggest waves of the heat. John Florence, he took off on a medium-sized set, surfed it incredibly well. Really full committed surfing. He got himself a 9.57 and obviously got a decent sized set wave with just a limited opportunity to score through that alley-oop, and got an excellent number as well. So there's a couple of different ways you can go about it out there today. De Souza's up at the moment and looking to get himself into the lead. Really needs nothing but goes down there.
And so your explanation being, you know what? You can do it in any different type of way. Being on the biggest and best wave, you talk about wave selection being a part of that. It is so much harder to ride those bigger waves. But if you can do a 10-foot alley-oop, which not a lot of people in this world could, you can still get a big number.
Fanning did a really good job of setting his rail on those big bumpy faces, and he collected points, waited for the wave to kind of really stand up and clean up on the inside before he started laying into his more critical turns. John Florence, when he took a medium-sized wave, it just allowed him complete freedom. He could tap back into that form that saw him get the victory in WA and string together major turns. And I don't think the size of the wave at that point should really matter too much. If you're not seeing a guy or you're seeing someone battle to set their rail on those big set waves, they're just not able to get that critical surfing, and their board has to stay relatively flat in order to survive those tricky sections.
Yeah, and the bigger waves are going to be more out into that choppier water. But you know what I particularly liked as well is that what that does by Mick Fanning's performance early in that heat, it allowed John the opportunity to go for that stuff. And it pushed it. And that's the excitement level. When you have these guys pushing each other in this format, when you've got the whole world watching you online, you've got this amazing crowd paying attention, the legacy of this contest, all the respect, mutual respect you have within these athletes, that you can just get this forum and you see this kind of stuff happening live. I get goosebumps, man. It's incredible.
Definitely. I guess the other thing is John was really pushing himself in Western Australia, but there's been a few performances in this contest that kind of forced John to take his surfing to another place again. He had to find the motivation to get back to that point, and we saw that in the last heat. He's through to the quarterfinals. If you've just joined us, plenty of highlights to look back on already in the first 2 heats of the day. Kyle Belly, last year's Rookie of the Year, getting a big breakthrough result, making the jump directly through to the quarterfinals. That has relegated Owen Wright and Federico Moraes to round 5, and with the results pounding out for John Florence in that second round 4 heat, we now have a replay of a heat we saw on the Gold Coast, which was a real showstopper. Mick Fanning, Owen Wright in the second heat of round 5 now.
Which is crazy because those are 2 in-form surfers, and by way of the seeding, again, you're going to see this stuff happening in round 5 and even in round 3, these big matchups where we saw Kelly Mick, and now Mick has got Owen.
Back to the heat in the water, Felipe Toledo trying to get a wave in. He's happy to take a medium-sized one at this point because he's looking for a board change. For more on that, we'll check in with Barton Lynch.
Yes, Blakey, down here you can see the backup board there. It's 1 inch bigger, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the board he's riding. He just feels like he needs a little more rail, a little more drive in those turns. We saw that air, though. Maybe he doesn't even need to do turns. Maybe he just needs to go to the air. But again, it's not much bigger. It's only 1 inch. You can see the rounded pin. No leg rope on that one, so they're going to have to do a little leggy change when he gets to the beach. But with jet ski assist, no, not really much time lost at all. And with a 9 in your bank account, you're in a pretty secure place.
Certainly is. Yeah, just looking to back that up now. Adriano de Souza has taken the lead. His last wave, just a 3, but with that 8.43, it's enough to see him in the first. Felipe needs a 2.43. Should be able to achieve that on his way in to pick up this backup board if he does opt to go for the change. Zeke's a little further back at the moment, Pete, just a 6 on his first wave. But, man, we've seen heats turned in a pretty short amount of time, and with the ski in play now, who knows, we could see a couple of big numbers from the Hawaiian.
Long leg, 3 events, but the waves have been pumping. Gold Coast, pumping. Margaret River, pumping. Here we are at Bells, pumping. How good of a start of this season has been. The level has been through the roof. Performances by all sorts of surfers, being pushed by each other. I mean, this tour is in a really good place.
Well, here we go. Felipe making his way in. He's on a medium-sized wave, which could mean good things for us spectators. First turn's decent. Second turn even better. And has the speed to float down the line, but just trips up there for a moment. Zeke Lau out the back. And there's a solid turn from the lanky Hawaiian as he goes up into the pocket once again, setting up this steep section here. Oh, just hit a bump on the bottom there, which threw his timing off, but still solid in getting the completion there. 14 minutes to go, and numbers starting to roll through. It looks like Felipe might be coming in for a board change as Zeke finishes this one off right there on the inside.
So there's Felipe going to make that change. Really, actually pretty cool, being that they're going to have the ski sitting in there already waiting for him. There's another ski that's actually there for Ezekiel Lau. So each guy is at their own boat that's going to give them a ride back out. So time is not going to be wasted whatsoever paddling.
Barton Lynch is down there on the beach watching this equipment change up.
There you go, mate. You can see the leg rope getting switched over. I'm going to grab that little one and have a look at it. Let's steal it off the caddy and have a little look at this one. Yes, mate, he's actually gone down. What he's gone to is a 511. They're both the Model 77s, but this one he was riding was a 6.0, gone down to a 511. So obviously feeling like he could get more whip and better turns in the pocket without that extra bit of rail and extra bit of length. He's on the ski now, so he's on his way out. No problems, all fixed and ready to go.
Well, maybe more impressive than the equipment change-up, Barton, is your socks and flip-flop combo.
Oh, that is awesome.
Very sharp.
Hawaiian Ugg boots.
Local style, mate. The other day I got swamped and my shoes haven't dried out yet. So what can you do? Part of the job, mate.
Someone get this man a pair of shoes. Stat. But Barton Lynch doing a great job down there, loving his insights throughout this Australian leg, and hopefully he can join us throughout the season. But Felipe going for a board change, wanting a little bit more freedom out there, Pete.
And Marcio Zuvi, again, just adding an extra inch. That's the Sharp Eye surfboards. You know, he's been working so closely with Felipe, developing this equipment, and it is obviously been paying off for him, because in every types of conditions that he's been having to surf in, he's been performing well. It's definitely, equipment is right there, stat. No worries for him. We know John Florence over in the West was riding one of the shortest boards of all the competitors in those bigger conditions. But going to a slightly bigger board doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to see big airs. You get actually a little bit more drive into the lip sometimes. Well, and right now in this state of surfing, generally right now you're riding probably the shortest equipment that you possibly could in this type of conditions. I mean, Potts will allude to it, I can allude to it. Back in the day, I'd be out there on a 6.8. These guys are on 6.2s, 6.3s, 6.1s, like, and in big conditions. And so you're seeing, there's so much you can do with a template and a rocker and fins to develop a board to work in conditions. It's really the only reason why you would want a big board is for paddle, and so that's what they're sacrificing. But the board's performance has actually been refined by the modern era, being able to develop these boards with all these different rockers and designs to get it to work in bigger stuff.
Bit of a shift up on the scoreboard here. Zeke Lauer, 7.9 for that last ride.
Awesome.
So he makes the jump into the lead, and really he has to be the underdog in this heat, just based on his previous results coming into this event. A 13th on the Gold Coast, 25th place over at Margaret River, and not a lot of experience at Bells, but he does have one of the best competitive minds in his corner. Let's have a look at the replay of that 7.9.
And you can see that he has been carrying a little bit bigger board, very comfortable with that transition, being from Hawaii. Gets to surf on the North Shore every winter season, and that attack of the lip there. So 3 big turns on the outside section, and almost excellent at 7.9.
Felipe Toledo on his way in for that board change had a 4.33. So did move ahead of Adriano, but Zeke has snatched the lead here with just over 10 minutes to go.
Rookie, this first time competing here at Bells, has found his way with at least an equal 9th, which is a great result. He would love to see himself into the quarterfinals. I mean, getting as a rookie, finding your way into the quarterfinals and even semis, pretty rare that you see these rookies getting all the way there. I mean, that time that Nat Young was able to get into the finals here on his rookie season was just amazing. A lot of time you're having to get through a lot of high quality surfers to get there.
It's been a good event for the underdog over the years, wildcards as well. Adam Robinson, we saw him go to the final in this contest against Joel Parkinson, and Mick Fanning won it as a wildcard back in 2001. That was his first CT victory. Jake Patterson, not sure what that means.
Maybe take this wave.
Might just be getting the sand off that flag. But just over 9 minutes to go here.
You're a funny man, Ronnie.
Zeke Lau out in front, but Felipe, the way he surfed, even his 4.33, the quality of his second maneuver, I think he's got a lot more in him.
Well, got a distinct advantage, and as well as Adriano over Ezekiel Lau, considering that his big score is only a 7.9, whereas Felipe's got a good almost over a point.
Here goes Adriano. A bit of foam on the face here, but it's a good sized wall, starting to clean up a little as he goes to just a smooth carve to get this ride started, setting up that second move, which is a big drawn out arc. This wave's starting to flatten up a little bit, but it will steepen again on the inside here. Adriano just sticking with it, keeping that flow, trying to generate some speed for a high impact finish. And he is going to go to the air himself.
Ouch.
So hard to ride out of that white water, so much turbulence. Zeke Lau now trying to get rid of a 6 to increase his lead over these more experienced rivals. And he likes the feel of that turn. He's going to kick out right there on the inside with 8 minutes to go.
Very similar to the 7.9. Same type of section on the inside, so he knows what wave he's kind of looking for. That one stayed on the bowl on the outside, so he's been able to produce his maneuvers on those outside sections. Those tend to be, there's not a lot of ways that'll give you that. I mean, an example being Adriano de Souza didn't really get his inside section, or his section, until the very inside. Taking a look at this replay, so he sets up, knows how important these outside moves are, digs through that first maneuver, again, stays on the reef, showing some variety there with the layback snap, and then this section looks so similar to what we saw. Actually, he gets 4 turns, so this is going to be a nice, solid wave as he actually gets the 5th, and now tags it again. This is another great ride. This is exactly what Ezekiel is going to need to keep that lead over the top of ADS and Felipe.
Adriano on the replay, Pete.
So a little more foam on the face. But the things I like about his style is the way he accelerates through his maneuvers. He carries speed so well. There's no, you talk about pace on a wave. He has this nice constant pace. It's rare that he gets going super fast unless he's trying to set up a maneuver on the inside. But that's his style. That's the way it's nice and easy to watch. Look at this section here. Click. Missed the grab. Didn't get the grab.
I love that Adriano is showing us that flair, though. It just tells you that he's not going to just keep that composure all the way through his ride. He's willing to throw some more high-risk turns at us as well. But here's a replay of Zeke's wave, waiting for the numbers to come through for this one.
So a little bit of contrast. You see when he does those dynamic moves, the speed kind of slows down, and you know, so it's kind of a speed up, slow down type of maneuvers. Still so impactful though, because his maneuvers are accentuated by doing that. Whereas you see Adriano kind of has that steady pace all through his rides.
Just under 6 minutes to go. Pete Mel seeing some similarities, Pete, in Zeke's previous ride, the 7.9 with his last. So
actually, after watching the replay, you got a few more maneuvers on the outside. You feel like it's going to be elevated.
Well, here's the scenario. De Souza's just dropped the 5.77. Zeke needs a 6.31 from that ride. He'll probably be backing his own chances there. Felipe Toledo, he's got a 9, so the highest single ride of this heat so far. Keeping in mind we're waiting for the Hawaiians' last wave to come through, but Felipe's still in this heat. Even though he's back in 30, only needs a 5.2 at the moment to get into the lead. So with just over 5 minutes to go, plenty of action still to come here in Heat 3 of Round 4. You're watching the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. And we'll just wait and see if there's any takers on this ride. No takers. Stay with us. More action to come right after the break. Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Great conditions here for the 4th round, and the quarterfinalists are being discovered. Caio Ibelli already waiting in quarterfinal number 1 to see who he'll surf against between Federico Moraes and Sebastian Zeitz. Quarterfinal number 2, John Florence, and well, what a heat that was. Heat 2 of round 4, Mick Fanning and John both with monster heat score totals, and John will take on the winner of Fanning and Owen Wright. But right now, looking for a third quarterfinalist. Adriano de Souza is up. A good looking little wall here. This wave fading away though. De Souza's going to kick out. Felipe Toledo, a good looking set this one. A lot of waves in it. Felipe just dines out on that opening section. Nice big carve. And again goes to the rail. So a solid combination to get started. Third turn, just really looking to set up this inside, cutting back, trying to get the most out of this steep inside. And he tries to go to the air there, just loses his equipment in the wind. Can't ride out. 2.5 minutes to go. And he'll gun it for the ski as fast as possible.
Well, that grab missed, or it actually didn't even attempt to. In my opinion, was a mistake by Felipe. Section was there for it, because you know he has got those airs on any type of section. Just felt like he didn't, you know, he tried to go for the ollie where there was no grab at all, which he's got pretty much on lock, but the board got away from him. Probably would have been smart to go for that frontside grab, because it's going to affect the score. I don't think it's going to be enough now. Looking for the 7.73. Nice turns on the outside though. See, that's what's so cool about Felipe, is that he gives us this type of surfing as well as the innovation and progression. You know, again, going for that inch longer board, so it gives him that ability, but still can go for the airs. Just, you see, gets this nice steep inside section, which is pretty rare, and he goes for it. But that section, look at that. I mean, would have been nice to have the grab. He could have landed in the flats.
Here's the thing, though, as much as we want Felipe to go to those turns, he maybe didn't need to on that occasion. That's a really high-risk move in this wind. Obviously, we've already seen him pull one off, but his rail surfing has been super sharp, and he got a 6.67. So he was definitely on his way to the required 7.73. Zeke Lau still out in front, and this has been a good event for the Hawaiians. They've made that adjustment to this big open face quite well over the years. Andy Irons with a couple of bells. Sonny Garcia was very dominant at this location throughout his career. Shane Dorian also had a victory, and way back in 1976, Jeff Hackman broke through for the first Hawaiian win. What is it, Pete?
Pretty unique. I mean, it's got to be the power of the ocean. The ability to ride those bigger boards and perform on those bigger equipment. The fact that they have to put on wetsuits. We know this other Hawaiian who's here has to deal with wetsuits, and he gets all egged out when he has to put one on. But the ability to look past that and surf high performance wise without having just board shorts. But I think it's definitely the power of the ocean and the ability to ride the equipment that is required here.
And you look at the final 12 remaining in this event, 3 Hawaiians in the mix. We've seen a couple of them perform already. John Florence is into the quarterfinals. Sebastian Zeke still alive, and Zeke now with a great opportunity to get himself a quarterfinal spot here at the Rip Curl Pro in its 56th year. And what a turnaround for Zeke Lau. He had some work to do, but just stuck to his game plan, Pete, as you mentioned early on. Didn't let that big performance from John get in his mind. Played to his strengths.
Or Felipe. And that's the thing I think that you'll see that he has as a strength in his ability is that he's not scared of the big names. He feels he belongs here. He's earned that. He got in by the skin of his teeth with the help of Kanoa Igarashi, but once he believes that he's here and that he's always believed that he should be here, he's not intimidated by the big names.
And we've seen plenty of surfers really struggle to make the grade on the qualifying series in the past, but we just knew their surfing would be better suited to the classy waves, world-class locations on the Championship Tour. I think we might be seeing that now, and there's some of that fire. He is buzzed. Where's the smile?
Nope. It's not over yet.
Got more work to do.
He wants to ring that big bell.
A 7.9, an 8.83. And Zeke Lau is taking the win and going through to the quarters. When we return from the break, Wiggly Dantas takes on Joel Parkinson and Geordie Smith.
They're just waiting on to run down that last exchange.
It was definitely, I thought it was up, but then counted down and then...
Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. We are still waiting to get the next heat underway because the judges are reviewing a potential situation at the end of that last battle. So just standing by for an update at the moment. But there was a situation here,
Listen
Peter Mel.
Well, we remember this happening at Trestles. The same situation happened between Michel Perez and Sebastian Zietz. Now, did he stand up before the horn? That's the question.
What's the situation, Pete?
So the situation is this. Once that horn sounds, the heat is over. So even though Ezekiel had priority and can go on that wave, once the heat is over, that priority is gone. Because Felipe was already up within the time allowed. So if he stands up after the heat, that is an interference. And with that interference, a whole wave is gone. It's a priority interference. He would have to go down to third place. All right, so let's take a look at the horn here. So tell me, does his hands leave the rail before the first moment you hear the horn? What do you think? That is so close. I mean, you also have to take into consideration that sound takes time to travel. Right? So if you hear, we will hear it again, and you guys at home make the decision. So again, if his hands do not leave the rail, he cannot interfere with Felipe. If they did, it's his wave.
Well, it's a scary situation too for Ezekiel. You know, Felipe Toledo so capable of chasing down a massive
Felipe
scores.
Takes the win. If there's an interference, he's going to.
Well, if there's an interference, but if you're Zeke in that situation, you want to block that ride because
for
Felipe
sure.
is the ultimate danger man, especially on a wave that size.
And to me, it looks like he's in time. That's my opinion. What about yours?
Well, like you said, it's a hard call to make because that sound takes, well, a microsecond to kind of...
Well, it is a microsecond.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, it's...
Don't worry, hey, if it goes either way, you need to relax Nothing you can look at. Don't relax, put your head down in the towel. Hey, you're wasting.
How is that veteran right there?
Tommy Whitaker swooping
So good.
in. The voice
So
of
good.
reason. He's just saying, prepare yourself, just breathe.
Don't worry about it.
But the judges are still reviewing this situation.
To me, it feels like he's up. I mean, just by the look of it. Love that we have the review, though. Think about that. Love that they have the review.
Well, look, even Felipe and Ricardo are kind of probably going through this right now.
I mean, for sure the first hand is. I mean, if you wanted to really get weird, there's the one hand came off a little bit later. But so the judges are reviewing all this, just so you know. That's why we're on hold.
They're having a really good look at it. Here it is again.
I mean, so this is the thing, too, is that the judges make the call, right? It's not one person making the call. It's all five that are going to look at it.
Well, let's get the lowdown now from the head judge, Richie Porter, joining us. Rich, what's the update on this situation? Are you there, Richie?
They're still talking about it.
Yep, still working it out. So, stand by. The decision has been made. It is an interference, red on blue. So all that hard work from Zeke Lau just lost on a technicality here. They're waiting to have a chat with the head judge, Richie Porter. But obviously a devastating outcome for Zeke, Pete, because he's desperate for a big result. Richie Porter joining us now. Richie, take us through the decision process.
Yeah, it's what happens is the minute the heat ends, all priority is gone. So blue takes off before the siren, red takes off just after the siren, even though red had priority. If his hands left the rails before the siren blows, then it's no problem. It's his wave, but because the heat's over, he gets the interference for interfering on blue.
Is this decision, Rich, made prior to reviewing the footage based on the fact that, obviously sound takes some time to travel?
No. We've got the sound right next to us. We made the decision right there and then because we've got the siren literally 5 feet from us. So for the surfers in the water, the sound takes, 183 metres per second to travel or something. In his mind, he's up because it takes the sound so long to get there. But we then review it with the sound and the vision and just to double check on it all, and away we go.
Is it a decision that the whole panel gets involved in, or is it a decision that you make or the priority judge makes?
No, the whole panel's watching, and then there's a discussion, is he up, isn't he up? And then we watch the vision, and in the end, if it's clear that it is after, then it's the 5 judges write down their interference, and away we go.
Was it unanimous on the panel that he was
up after the siren? No,
yes.
That's why it took so long to review, because we then reviewed and watched the vision over and over and over. Just to make sure. So some guys were saying he was up before, some were saying he was up after.
And so, is it each judge get to put that? When you put an interference out, generally you're going to say the judge will put it as an interference. So it would have been, was it a 3-2 or was it a 4-1?
At the initial time, it was a 4-1. So four judges had him up after and one had him up before the heat finished. And then with the review with the sound on the vision, we then put the 5th judge put the triangle on as well.
All right, Rich. Well, we appreciate you coming on to explain the situation. We're having another look at it now. And Pete, it was just so close, that call. In your opinion, he was up before the hooter.
Yeah, and that's just my opinion, right? So one opinion.
I'd probably have to
I'd
agree with you in that situation, but it is.
I watched it 10 times.
Yep. All right, well, unfortunate there for Zeke Lau. He was looking like a guaranteed spot in the quarterfinals, but Felipe Toledo with his impressive surfing and that technical rule coming into play, he gets the jump. He's into the quarters, and Ezekiel Lau will have to fight his way through the 5th round now as we get set for Heat 4 of round 4, and it's a good one. You've got a couple of the best Bell surfers, you'd have to say, of all time. Even though Geordie doesn't have that #1 win, the big trophy, he's already considered one of the finest on the Bells Bowl. Wiggly, he's breaking through for one of his better results in recent times. This should be a classic matchup.
Well, let's take a look at Joel Parkinson. And again, he loves those quick starts, and he loves the Bells Bowl because he has that type of surfing where he carries a ton of speed and he holds it all the way through every maneuver. Again, he's got so much experience here, knows which waves he wants to ride. So fortunate with what the conditions have been able to hold here. Bells is awesome. Even with onshore, it is so shreddable. Again, look at this inside section for Joel. All the way through and carries a ton of speed. Great start for the man in blue.
He's looked good this event, hasn't he?
Relaxed.
In fact, he's looked good throughout 2017 so far. Definitely.
Totally agree.
Surfing with a lot of intent. Seems to be laying that rail really deep.
Super engaged.
A throwback to his world title run.
In every heat, sometimes you can see, sometimes the surfer will get, not as intense and engaged in every heat, but every single wave, he's on it.
7.33 on his first wave. Trying to find the open face here, but he'll pull into the barrel for a moment, get some cover. Doesn't get a clean exit, bit of a dirty exit there, but he could make up for it here on the inside. There's that extra little push on that tail we've been talking about throughout this season, and a wild old float to finish, but didn't quite stick it.
Yeah, and that's that, if you're not able to keep that speed and that floater maneuver when you land with the explosion of the lip, very difficult to ride out of it. Also, you're sacrificing a bit of your equipment too, because you're landing on top of the explosion with the board, kind of opposite energies. But looks like he's going to stay together here, no problem. But how's that? Finds a barrel. We weren't expecting to see barrels out here, but we're always surprised by what these guys can do.
Well, if you'd back anyone on the championship tour to find a barrel out there, it'd probably be Joel.
So true.
A piglet when it comes to the tube. 28.5 minutes remaining. Let's have a replay of this last ride.
Take a look at this one again from the outside. Somehow, click. Oh, there it is. Would have been nice if you'd been able to kind of get up and out of it. But again, just so fun to watch this kid surf. Then here, this is the only error. Up, float, got off balance as well. But Kid,
yeah.
Yeah, he's a Grom. He's younger than me.
17th year on the championship tour. 3 Bells titles. 36 years of age, celebrated his birthday just the other day. And he is amped to have a shot at a second world title.
One of the things I think he's good at is maintaining his energy. And you can see when he has that moment to really kind of chill and take in, he preserves it. You know, really important to him to breathe through a lot of his heats and the moments that he gets to. So, you know, he can be able to sustain through those big days.
Geordie Smith, currently ranked 4th, last year's world title runner-up. Has got the 2nd spot here at Bells Beach in the past. Also had a few semi-final finishes and a few quarter-final finishes. It's one of his favourite stops on the championship tour, but the win has eluded him. And in some of those quarter-final matchups, even his ninth place finishes, he's been the best surfer in the contest that year. But just, you know, the way these surf events work out, sometimes you can't find that wave. And
that's why it was so surprising to see how well John did in that last event to sustain how high his heat totals were each and every round.
Exactly. Wiggly Dantes, he is way down the ratings at the moment, so already on his way to a great finish here. This is really going to help him get back on track in 2017. 2 round 2 exits from these first couple of events, and Bells has been a big one for him.
And think about, I mean, we haven't seen him a lot of them, right? I mean, the 4 heats we saw this year. He hasn't looked great. But then all of a sudden in this event, a whole different Wiggly.
It's always a worry when you start to sort of forget what someone looks like on the wave. And that's been the case for Wiggly, because even since J-Bay last year, he hasn't been past the 3rd round. So hasn't really had the opportunity to click back into the form that saw him go all the way to 15th in his rookie season.
You know, and that when he came on tour, it was, you know, another one of those guys, a la Joan Daru, spent a lot of time on that QS to finally get that crack and that opportunity. And when he made the graduation, it was easier for him. I mean, he started out really well. You know, as a rookie, he was up there contending, you know, surfing to the level of all the top guys, you know, and then just like you said, after J-Bay, you just wonder what was going on. You know, he was searching for equipment at times, trying to figure out what he wanted to be in, and all of a sudden, he's just clicked in here. And maybe someone, you know, lit a little fire, or he lit his own fire, because it is definitely looking the goods, looking very much like he was in that first season.
Wiggly's definitely one of those guys, though, that likes to experiment with different shapers and take a few different boards. So I think when you're making those changes, pretty often you might struggle to find consistency in your equipment, and as a result, if you get a kind of a bad run of boards or can't find that magic board, it's going to be hard to tap into a big performance.
And it affects across the board. It affects you mentally. Yeah, and you know, he rides pretty different equipment. I mean, he's got Bill Riddell stretch boards in his quiver. He's got Burns in his quiver. He's got Mayhems in his quiver. You know, Matt Biolas. So he's got a pretty diverse group of shapers that he works with.
Yeah, on the Burns down here at Bells Beach, Parish Burn is actually down here, sort of hanging tight with the Dantes pack.
Good.
So that's what's under his feet at the moment, I believe. Just over 24 minutes to go. Joel Parkinson's had it all his way so far, a 7.33, 4.17 for that second ride. Waiting for these two to tap into a decent set here, but
look at that.
Looks like it's just around the corner.
Butterball. Like I said, I keep pinching myself at how fortunate we've been this season, that we've just been right into all the swells.
Made the point early on in this season, if we get quality size swell, it's going to really open up the door for the veterans. but it hasn't really been the case.
Well, it's opened the door for everybody.
Well,
That's what it seems like.
I think it just says a lot about the evolution of performance that's happening down the back end of the ranks. Those guys that have held control at the top end of the ratings for so long are dropping some pretty poor results throughout those first couple of events. We've seen a bit of a fight back here with Fanning and Parkinson still alive in the mix. Jordy Smith still gunning for that Bells trophy. But it's been impressive what the youngsters have been able to do.
So true, and it's just a tribute to how talented the surfing world is becoming. There's just a solid group, guys coming up as well as veterans.
Here goes Jordy Smith. The South African drives up into that first section. Beautiful flow he's had throughout this event so far, and just takes this wave apart with a variety of maneuvers and plenty of style. Just flowing through these fatter sections so well. Looking for a connection through to the inside, and he'll get there. A lot of work just to get to this point, and he finishes with a little float on the inside there. So worked hard for the completion and got it.
And it's funny, you work that hard, you get a maneuver at the end, which, you're probably like, it's not the greatest of maneuvers, but the entire, again, presentation of the entire wave, it's going to be solid. It shows that his intent, that he's in here, he's going to milk everything out of each and every wave. Of course, we have the jet ski assist. It's going to help. He's not wasting any time. But those two turns were, and how good did that third turn look? He just had when you can put everything on the line on a maneuver and come out with speed, it feels so good.
Here we go, Wiggly. Let's see what he can do. Just a smooth slice to get started. Nothing major just yet. Not a lot of points in those first two moves, but he can make up for it here with something super explosive. Here comes that nice steep wall, and Wiggly just whips his board vertically, but he doesn't really like it. He kicks out of it, doesn't commit. Joel Parkinson just S-turning his way through to the inside. Loading up that speed once again for this section. Digs in, puts those fins on show for us. 21 minutes remaining, and Joel should be getting rid of that 4.17.
Best roundhouse cutback in the business. So much speed carrying. When you reverse complete directions like that, it is so hard to keep your speed. And he does such a great job. And I really love how you see his feet shift. As this cutback, you kind of keep your feet up above the pad. You can see it's just a shift of it as he returns back. But then this move here where he gets the steeper section, you'll see just a slight shift, and he moves his feet around on his boards more than anybody. Right there, puts that back foot back on the pad as far as it'll go, right up against the little kick in the grip. You can even see he'll shift. He's got the best footwork. And then let's watch Jordy here, and this little two-turn combo there. Again, that transition's good because he's in the lip. That turn, beautiful. And then this one where he just lays through it. Rawr. So good, so mean, like an animal. He has to work really hard to get through this inside section. Just the float for the finish, but like I said, it's worth more than it feels by just finishing. He's not going to leave any scoring potential out of there. I'd say probably a quarter point for that. But, in a 0.25, see that connection with the lip on the outside section can mean a lot at the end of a heat.
Well, it's a smaller ride than what we've seen Joel Parkinson on, but much like the heat with John Florence earlier on, Jordy ripped this wave apart. I think this had the best surfing on it, this wave.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the judges think.
This turn here, he changes the angle for the layback. He goes more vertical, so the turn is tighter in that first section. The second section here, you see where his angle went more about 1030, and then lays into it because he's out more in the face. And that's what Jordy does. He's so good at that because he can take that section. It's not going to be super hypercritical, but since he holds his rail and the amount of speed he carries through it, almost again accelerates out of it, you can't help but throw at big scores.
7.6 for Jordy Smith. He does drop the highest single ride of this heat so far. Joel Parkinson still has another wave on the way. Wiggly also waiting on a score, but it's not going to be a big one at this point in time. Equipment-wise, Pete, we've seen some decisions made. Felipe Toledo making an equipment change in his exchange there in that Heat 3, round 4. What about Joel Parkinson? What do you think he's probably stepped up to?
Well, I don't know for sure, but you can assume that he's probably on some of the biggest stuff he has. I mean, this is solid bells. Looks like in his quiver he's got the Forget-Me-Not 6.3.5. You know, so he's adding another inch to most of his shorter boards. He rides 6.0 as his smallest board, but generally his short boards are going to be 6.1, 6.2.5. He loves the half-inch increments. And, you know, again, when you start looking at volumes and stuff, they're all around 29 liters, 28.6 for the smaller ones. His biggest boards are at 29.2 liters. So not a significant change in volume. You know, and again, his widths are all the same, 18 and 7/8. You know, from his 6.3 all the way to his 6.0. Again, his thicknesses don't vary by very much, you know, by 1/16 of an inch. And then just the size. So, I mean, he's got 6 boards in his quiver. 6.0 to 6.3.5, so only 3.5 inches is a difference from his bigger boards. That's unique. You know, I think that that's where you start to see really, truly what rockers and fins do for a surfboard. You know, and there's even more changes you can make subtly to make a board feel more positive in this bigger stuff.
17 minutes to go here. And Joel Parkinson still out in front. His last wave of 7.17. Geordie can get the lead though with a 6.9. Here he goes into this first section. Solid hit. The wave steepens up once again. Geordie whips it, but maintains that down the line flow so he can come flying into this section. Wave flattened out a little on him. Grabs that rail and reefs it back to set up this hit. And he's going to try and throw it up there once again, but just comes up under the falling lip there.
Little roundhouse kick from Bells. You know what I love about what Jordy Smith does is he's so quiet in his movements of his body. So everything's really subtle. You know, even when he gets a little bit of an error, you see his adjustments just ever so slightly. So it looks like he's always in control.
Well, when he was a kid, you know, the comparisons to Joel Parkinson were really flying around all over the place. People used to call him Geordie Parkinsmith. It's true. And he's just kind of really carved out his own approach. I think he's got more power than Joel. Joel sort of has that really smooth, like drawn out line. Geordie sort of rips through his turns a little more, as we see Wiggly there throwing everything at that first section, unsuccessful. And he's a little bit behind in this heat now, because Geordie's about to drop a decent score. He needs a 6.9 to take the lead. Do you reckon he'll get it?
Yes. And I think this wave's actually going to be better than his first. You know, and just taking a look at the template of his tail of his board when he got on the ski, he has that rounded pin. You can see it there, but it's really pulled in right off that tail block. You see the narrower the tail is, the more positive that board's going to feel. It's not going to want to skip out. It's going to want to roll rail to rail super nicely. But again, you know, as loose as that board's going to feel, you know, that pulled in tail keeps it grippy. See, he's so quiet in his upper body. It just smooths out everything. And again, even that slight little adjustment with the hand is just to keep him right on flow. Just the fall at the end, but I still feel like this is going to be better than his 7.6.
Well, those numbers starting to roll through now, and they do look pretty good. So Geordie Smith, a good chance at taking the lead here with just on 14 minutes remaining. I love where Geordie's at in his career, Pete. Massively hyped before joining the tour. Obviously struggled to break through with big results early on. And then he kind of caught fire. 2010 was runner-up to the world title. You know, had a massive contract hunt going on for his signature.
How was his timing for that? I mean, it was perfect timing. He was the next guy, and everyone was bidding for him.
Yeah. Well, Nike was circling at one point there, and They even had Tiger Woods give him a call and try and persuade him.
That's right.
To go with the swoosh and get him on the team, but he ended up
with O'Neill.
Yep, signing with O'Neill, and he's been with them ever since. But I just think he's settling into his place on the championship tour. His surfing has never looked better, and I think he's finally ready to give it a real nudge, because even as a world title runner-up, he didn't look like he was necessarily in the race right until the end.
But this year,
it feels
have
different.
To say, yeah, it does. I agree. And a good team around him. Chris Gallagher, full-time. Their relationship has blossomed.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Here we go. Wiggly up with just under 13 minutes remaining. Wiggly still looking for something better than a 3.33. Wants to break that combination. Medium-sized set wave. And this is where Wiggly can really add some points, but he has to make an adjustment there. That section kind of flattened out on him. Let's see, the float, the finish, sticks it. That'll be his best wave, just on 12.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I just think his wave judgment so far just have been a little off. You saw that bigger set wave moved off the reef. This one had kind of a weird look to it too, considering what we've seen from Jordy and Joel. So it's sometimes when you get in a weird rhythm with that priority and you feel like you need to take the waves because you're in that rhythm, it's your turn, and all of a sudden the wave that you choose either moves off the reef or it has a weird bump in, or and that one just didn't have the steep sections that he would have liked. That's what he needs too, to really showcase what he needs is a nice steep wall, because that's where he really shows us that big flare and all that water can move off his rails. Once it's flatter, it's a little tougher to showcase that.
Well, Wiggly's trying to make this a three-man heat, because it is starting to feel like a head-to-head battle between Jordy Smith and Joel Parkinson, both surfers with 7-point rides. Jordy just edging ahead of Joel by a very slim margin here. He just dropped the 7.7. So Joel now on the lookout for a 7.97. And you can hear the whistles faintly there in the background, just ringing out over the lineup from the top of the car park here at Bells. Some big sets rolling our way, Pete.
Oh, big sets. Look at this thing. It is massive.
This is what we want for this heat too, because if there's ever been any two surfers more capable of taking apart a big set wave here at Bells Beach.
Oh, right on top of Jordy.
Just jinxed Joel completely then, didn't I? Just under 11 minutes to go, and Joel goes down on the takeoff there. Jordy, he's going to get back out there for priority.
Well, you know that Jordy would have been right there in the peripheral, but I don't think that really affected Joel. It was a late takeoff. Bit deceptive from looking above it too, how steep that wall really was.
I think that's Bells in general. It definitely has some flat sections to it, Bells, but it's surprising how much the bowl stands up. It really is a nice, big, steep canvas you can rip into.
And it's a hard read on how far in or out you need to be. Generally you're like, oh, it's going to back off, and then it'll lurch up. It'll grab a piece of that shallow reef and lurch up on you. So again, that is why this place, experience really, truly plays a big role in the success here.
Well, 10 minutes to go, and it's deceptive, this wave. It has a lot of push. Those big Southern Ocean swells can drive you a long way through to the inside. And fortunately for us, that just happened to Strider, so he can give us the rundown on the experience.
Well, yeah, you kind of see him coming from far away, but you're not sure. And then, you come up and you see Joel falling out of the sky, and you're trying to watch the action, and then you realize you're kind of in a bad spot, so you got to paddle over. And I thought the elbow was a little sore, so I wasn't just bailed the board, took it on the head.
Oh, we got it on view.
But
Perfect.
I did get to open my eyes up and dodge the swirl, so it
good job, Strider.
Did not get pounded. It was nice.
Nice.
And the leash held up, so.
Strider, we were just talking about...
Fix your hair. We need you to get that hair right. There you go.
There we go.
There he is.
Sorry, boys.
No problem. But we were just talking about how steep the wall is at Bells. At different stages, the wave does flatten out, but when you get that one big section, it is a nice big vertical approach that these surfers can take.
Yeah, you know what? Watching Jordy on his wave, where he came up into the bowl and cracked it, he really was coming out of it, realized how much he had to go back down, and I watched him kind of puff up the cheeks and get that face on where he was just like, all right, let's do it. And he, riding out of all of his maneuvers, you can see there's a lot more going on than just the bottom turn to the top turn. You know, usually when you're done with that top turn, you're done with your maneuver. But out here, you still have to go with the ride down, right? You're coming down with the lip, you're coming down with the falling lip or the water or the white water, and on that inside, especially for that closeout turn. So there's definitely a lot more than the off the bottom, off the top combo out here. You got to make it back to the bottom.
Thank you, Strider. Wearing sets on the head.
For your entertainment at home.
For your entertainment, just to give you the lowdown what it's like out there. Geordie Smith, though, on the replay, Pete. Just a couple of beautiful combinations he's given us already, and still enough time on the clock to throw more. Pretty young field so far into the quarters. Kyle Belly, John Florence, Felipe Toledo, and at the moment, you'd have to say one of the veterans now, Geordie Smith, in his 10th year on the championship tour. Trying to get into quarterfinal number 4. It is a pretty experienced last heat we've got here in the 4th round, though.
And it's a close one. You look at the score, it's 7-7, 7-6 for Geordie, 7-3, 7-1 for Joel. Separated by less than a point. And nothing in the excellent range yet, so you feel like there's more for these guys to bring us. So hopefully this last 7 minutes we'll have some pouring sets. I mean, it's unique too, is it the weather forecast was that we were supposed to have some pretty warm weather, and it's not chilly, but it's certainly not 26 degrees, which is forecast. So it's like that hot and cold from the ocean is why you have this fog.
As we see Joel up and looking motivated. Really dug into that first turn. Needs some more room to move here, though, to jack this score right up into the excellent range. He needs a 7.97, but gets caught up in the lip here. 6.5 minutes to go. He's got time. Thinking about Mick Fanning, Joel Parkinson, Geordie Smith, and their chances for a world title this year, you'd think that making a couple more heats here at Bells is critical, because they kind of missed that opportunity on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
All three of them.
Take a look at this one for Joel. Not a bigger set weight, but he knew that it was going to give him this outside opportunity. Beautiful, smooth style. I mean, every time you talk about Joel, you can't help but describe it as smooth. His transitions between maneuvers. You see that there's a bit of current that'll pull out. You've got a beach, all this water that pushes in, and it's got to push out some way. So that's what happened there, as the water was kind of shifting out, a little backwash.
More sets rolling our way. 5.5 minutes to go. That last wave's not going to help Joel's cause. He'll have to get back out there and in a position to have a strike at the lead in the final 5 minutes. Geordie Smith out the back, holding on to priority, trying to get rid of a 7.6 to move further ahead here. Wiggly has broken combination. His last wave, a 5.33. So he's looking for a 9.97 out of this ride. Nice, elongated bottom turn. Again, wave selection seems to be the enemy for Wiggly at the moment. There has been some nice waves reeling off through the inside, though. Some lucky connections. And that's what Wiggly's really praying for here at the moment. This one just a little tricky to surf. There's that Wiggly Dontas trademark hit that we've been looking for. Might have been just a little too few and far between, though, to get a big score there.
I was just going to touch on that. You know, the outside section, again, just kind of going through the motions, but did get the opportunity at the end, which he executed. And we've seen rewards come from the end. But you always got to look at the scale and where it's been set. You know, Geordie, his best wave, the 7.7, you know, he did those 3 nice turns on the outside. So you'd feel like this is going to come underneath that. He may better his best wave, but not by much.
Well, it was a good start to the event for the Goofy Footers, winning the first 4 heats of this contest, but rounds 2 and 3, the Goofies got slaughtered, and there's only 2 left in the draw now Owen Wright and Wiggly.
And 2 and 3, we moved over, right? We moved over to Winky, and that's where I feel like a lot of that kind of unfolded. Winky, not the easiest way for your backhand. Let's take a look here. So second priority was with Wiggly. So Jordy said, nah, I'm not going to take this one. And I think a lot of it was that it didn't feel like it was going to have those outside maneuvers, which I think is critical, and that's why Jordy made the choice. But this wave did load up through the inside section. And it was had some scoring potential there, but it really didn't really get super steep until here. And that's right on the shore. Beautiful finish, though. And it is his best wave.
Sometimes too, but yeah, he gets a 6.2. So Wiggly now looking for a 9.1. So chipping away at Jordy Smith's lead here. Joel Parkinson still chasing a 7.97. Jordy's trying to better a 7.6. Having a look here, Jordy. Let's see if he can throw a little bit more at it. Just a set-up turn. Floats down the line. Getting caught behind here, and he gets out of there. Yeah, but just looking back at Wiggly's wave, Pete.
Yep.
Sometimes if there hasn't been a set for a while and you get a medium-sized set, the wind has sort of taken a bit of an effect on the lineup.
For sure.
And it's sort of like Jordy and Joel are doing a good job at the moment of getting the smoothest waves in a pretty bumpy lineup, whereas Wiggly keeps picking off that medium-sized wave when there hasn't been that set to come through and kind of iron out the surface of the water, and it's just so hard to surf. He did well on that last one.
Well, and it's, you're trying to come from behind as well, right? So your patience are not as good. You got to start building. You got to go, I got to get my opportunities. So sacrificing a little bit of the smooth water just to get himself, and I think he liked the line of the wave, but again, you're right. It did have some chop on the face. You see that little wind chop, and we touched on it through Margaret River. We even touched on it a lot through the Gold Coast because we did have some windier conditions, and those second, third waves of the set are always going to be a little bit smoother.
So it looks like round 5 could be getting underway too.
You would say.
Interesting matchups established there. Federico Moraes, Sebastian Zietz in Heat 1, Mick Fanning, Owen Wright in Heat 2. And of course that really interesting situation at the end of Heat 3 of round 4. We had that interesting situation at the end of Heat 3. And we're still waiting to get confirmation on the outcome.
Hey, why not review it? I mean, if it's there to look at and review, I'm sure that those guys are looking at the decision too.
Well, we might have had an official protest. We'll find out more about that a little later on. Right now, we're watching Joel Parkinson trying to snatch the lead from Jordy Smith. He needs a 7.97 here. There's that beautiful, smooth style. But he needs some big, high-impact turns as well. He might have the section here. Smashes that oncoming section. 7.97. That's what he's after.
Very similar to what we saw from Jordy Smith. So quiet in his upper body. There's such great technique, and to be able to keep that smooth and easy approach through a really challenging, bumpy wave. This one here, don't know if it's coming after, but he likes it. I guess maybe he did stand up before, so there must be some maneuvers on the outside. So 2 waves, it looks like, going to come in here in this last few seconds of the heat.
Well, Wiggly needs a jumbo score, a 9.1.
A jumbo.
Yeah.
Jumbo excellent.
Well, we haven't really seen Wiggly do any excellent surfing in this heat just yet. Not an individual turn, but he's got a better looking wave here.
Oh, and then just a little stumble there, but he kept it together. And he would have liked the feel of those 2 maneuvers on the outside. Again, that's that hook he has with all the... This is a much better wave. Second wave of the set, we saw Joel in the first one. Well surfed. That's going to be his best wave for sure. I don't know if it quite goes into the score he's going to need of a 9.1, but Joel's wave, I think that's the one we have to look at.
Waiting on numbers for Parkinson and for Wiggly. A great heat. three of the most stylish surfers on tour. Here's the replay of Joel's.
And again, outside carve, so quiet, great technique. That hook there is beautiful. Next turn here, again, this let him down slightly in this midsection. Didn't have that whole steeper inside, and then redirect off the foam. Well served, but I feel like it's just slightly under.
Well, the numbers starting to roll through now. And don't think it will be enough for Joel Parkinson. Wiggly's got a number to come through, so waiting on the scores to drop.
So what would Joel get?
7.07, was chasing a 7.97.
Yeah, so a point shy. I think that just inside didn't really give it to him. Now, again, 9.1 for Wiggly.
I think, too, if you looked at Joel's 7.07, went back and had a look at the 7.7 from Geordie Smith, you'd see a distinct difference in the scoring opportunity Geordie's wave presented. It had some steep sections, and he really laid into them. So definitely it was a better ride for Smith. And the numbers just dropped for Wiggly Dantas. It was the highest scoring ride of that heat. An 8.5. A good score, but not enough. He needed a 9.1, but it does get him to second place, and that makes things interesting in the fifth round. Geordie Smith with a victory, and he is moving directly through to the quarterfinals.
That's a big heat win for him.
Monster.
He'll be carrying that momentum, surfed really well. His equipment spot on, trying to get himself back in the finals again. I mean, there's that pintail. You see it's drawn in like that. That's just that positive rail work that he could do right there. He can push on that thing as hard as he wants.
Another big heat here at Bells Beach with three solid heat score totals, but there can only be one winner. There he is, marching directly through to the quarterfinals. And we have some big news for you. An update on what unfolded at the end of Heat 3, Round 4, with Zeke Lau and Felipe Toledo. For more, we'll check in with Barton Lynch.
Kieran, mate, controversial times, difficult decisions all round. On review, where are we at now?
Yeah, we just had a chance then to go into the broadcast truck, review that situation with the interference at the end of the heat with Zeke and Felipe. We've overturned that interference decision based on being able to have a really accurate sound to vision sync. I think the problem that we had was when they were trying to review it here after watching live, it was a split decision, so they needed to review it. Richie wasn't able to see the proper, correct sound to vision sync. We just uncovered that there was a little bit of a problem with the syncing there in their replay. So what he saw, he called an interference on, and that was accurate at the time, given the vision he was watching. Right, we've just had the chance to review, so we're removing the interference from Zeke. He'll win that heat and advance into the quarterfinals, and Felipe will have to surf again. It's terrible when those kinds of things happen. You know, they both had become, accustomed to what the result was. Felipe in particular felt that he'd won the heat, but that was the correct result. It was the correct thing to do to turn over that interference, and we've got the best result and the fairest outcome.
Yeah, so you've got the right result in the end upon review of the footage. For those guys, now they've got to deal with the emotional roller coaster of the ups and downs of that and get on with business.
Totally, and that's, it's unfortunate. We don't really want that to happen to anyone in that position when they're competing. Hopefully they can just buckle down and focus on the task at hand. Obviously Zeke will be elated, but the right thing to do and the actual correct decision was that Zeke won the heat.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Well, there you go, guys. The correct decision has been come down. They're reversing the decision. Obviously an up and down for the competitors, but in the end, better it's right than stick with something that was wrong.
For sure.
Thank you, Kieran. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Barton. So there you have it. Here it is. This is what unfolded.
Listen for the horn. It's literally, so cool though, right? Using technology. In the slow-mo, you still get to hear the horn. So that is the original footage there. We saw it in here. It was pretty clear to us. We were scratching our head, but of course, and we'll see it here in full speed too. And that's what we saw. That's what you saw at home. So, good move.
So
sucks
Zeke.
for Felipe, but good move.
Felipe will be okay. And Zeke is moving directly through to the quarterfinals. And that is a massive decision for him. You know, obviously a lot riding on this result for Zeke Lau. Let's hear from the man. He's with Barton Lynch.
Zeke Lau, that was an emotional roller coaster. Welcome to the world of World Championship surfing, mate.
Yeah, thanks, BL. I mean, that was a fire drill for sure, but, you know, whichever way the call was, there's a little bit of a freak out, of course. You know, naturally, I just had a little bit of emotions going, but, you know, after I changed out of my suit, I was just like, you know what, turn my phone off, put the music on, and just, you know, get ready to move on, basically.
Yeah, and leave that behind, not get involved emotionally. Did you think you got up before the siren? Where was your mind at on that?
I thought I got up before. I mean, I don't know if there's a delay or in time, but by the time I dropped to the bottom, I was on my feet before I heard the horn. Like, I was at the bottom when I heard the horn, basically. And I was listening, and I knew the rule. It wasn't like I was like, you know, just not knowing. I knew the rule, and I looked at my watch. I had 5 seconds before I committed to paddling for that wave, and I just went for it. I knew it was going to be close, but, you know, I figured if I got up fast enough to my feet and just got into the wave, I was going to do it. I just couldn't let him go on that wave. With Philippe and what happened in the last heat with John, you know, I kind of risked it, but, you know, I just put it all on the line, and whatever was going to happen is going to happen.
Tensions were high, emotions were high. Jake Patterson's going around you know. How do you then regroup? Like you said, just put the music on, get it out. It takes some mental discipline.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it's pretty hard. Snake was pretty emotional. I mean, naturally, he's invested a lot of time. I've invested a lot of time, but, you know, Tommy Woods is actually standing there, and he said, you know what, you need to calm down, take the jersey off, get out of your suit, and just save that energy and harness it for the next heat. Whatever happens, I have no control over it. They're the ones that's got to make the call, and I felt like that was the words I needed in that time, which is really good. And yeah, it just played out how it played out.
And I suppose for the public, the footage didn't sync with the sound sync properly that the judges were reviewing. Everybody went up to the van, the broadcast van, saw it properly in real time and saw that you were up and you got the win through to the quarters, skipped round 5.
Yeah, for sure. I'm stoked. And naturally, when I came in, I was just bummed because I did all that work. I feel like I surfed a good heat, and for it to come down to a call like that at the end, it kind of stings. But, you know, that's just how it goes. These are surf contests. Things happen. They go your way or don't go your way. You got to have tough skin, shake it off, and get ready for the next one.
Well, you put on a great show. It was fantastic surfing. Feeling like you're really finding your feet on this tour now, 3 events in?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really felt like, you know, I was building confidence through each heat in this event, and that's basically all I wanted to do. I wasn't really focused on how far I was going to make it. Is if I put on a good performance and I was sticking to my game plans and feeling good when I was coming out of the water, then, you know, I reached my goal, and the results are just going to come.
They're coming, brother. They're coming. Good work, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Barton. Great interview there. Zeke Lau into the quarterfinals. That decision overturned, Pete.
No, and it's great. And I think that if you're going to look at surfing as a whole, it kind of prepares you for this, because you can't control outcomes. You're going to take the ocean so relentless. So I think he handled it very maturely, first of all. And I know that his team behind him said, hey, we're going to take care of this. And we saw it here. It was pretty clear. Glad that's where we're at, using technology and getting the right result right.
Well, now getting set for Heat 1 of Round 5. Federico Moraes taking on Sebastian Zeitz. I'm going to get Tom Whitaker's phone number for next time I have a major crisis in my life. But here we go, a replay of the first wave during this heat. Sebastian Zeitz locking in a pretty decent score here.
Well, it's our first time checking it out, but again, conditions are holding here. As you see, inside section here, again, this is what we saw from previously from Sebastian, is that he is not going to hold back whatsoever.
This is a great matchup, isn't it? Both these guys are really powerful. Here's Federico's first wave, a 7.
He doesn't have to change a thing. You know what? The judges are loving his style and approach here. You know, he's very similar to what we saw from Jordy and Joel, is that nice, quiet kind of, his board doesn't ever react to crazy sections. He's got a little bit more movement in his upper body than Joel and Jordy, but he does a good job of keeping the board quiet on the wave. You never really ever see him kind of lose control of that part of it. So he's got these strong kind of lower appendages where he controls everything, and it's neat to see, because that's where you can see a significant difference Yeah, this is the score for Sebastian Zietz, a 3.67. A little shaky there, but he's got the early lead.
You think about these two competitors and their run through this contest, some really close heats that could have gone either way for both of them. Federico Moraes against Gabriel Medina, nothing separating those two in the third round. And in the same round, Sebastian Zietz and Julian Wilson at the end of their exchange, 0.03 separating those two competitors.
And it's not even 0.3, that's 0.03, which is
0.03, sorry.
100, no, you said it. I'm just saying, to clarify, that's a hundredths of a point. It's not just 0.3, which is tenths of a point, which is, that is incremental, very small.
And it seems like Sebastian Zietz has been getting the payoff for the opposite of what Federico Moraes has been getting credited for. And that is Federico extremely controlled, definitely lays like deep tracks and solid turns, but always very in control and never really looking like he's going for anything super high risk at this point. We know he's got those kind of moves. Definitely doing difficult surfing still. Sebastian Zietz, on the other hand, he's a bit of a wild man. He throws everything into his moves, almost to the point where his board's disengaging from the face of the wave at times. Sometimes he'll bury his board so hard it'll bog in the water. He still has the power to push through those turns, but it's funny, it's a good contrast in styles meeting here in the fifth round.
So true. And I think that his maneuvers at times when he really connects with them are so high impact that you end up having to score it. Again, the transitions be a little bit more raw, but when he connects them, it's so exciting to watch, and it's hard not to give it a good score.
Yeah, Sebastian Zietz is just that real element of unpredictability in his approach to surfing heats. And Federico, like you said, at this point in time, why would he change anything?
No.
He's getting well rewarded for just that traditional 1-2-3 combo. It's obviously turning the judges on. He moves a lot of water. And he also just has that extra push on those calves. So rather than just keep those lines all smooth, he adds a bit of edge to those maneuvers.
And just noticing what he's been carrying under his arm. You're had his Hawaii boards he brought back, and I'm sure he would have been very attached to those Pang equipment, being that it helped him qualify. I mean, it really came down to hit that quiver was very, very good to him. A lot of the guys end up getting those Pang surfboards in Hawaii, and that 6.6, he easily could have brought that thing back home and went, either he's gonna put it on ice or bring it along. He's like, oh, no, I think this will work good at Margaret's and this will work good at Bell's Beach. We'll have that 6.4 under my arm. And it's an amazing surfboard for him. It qualified him onto the championship tour, and now it's under his feet here on the championship tour.
17.5 minutes to go. And it is Sebastian Zietz out in front, but it's a pretty slim lead at this stage of the game. 6.33 and a 3.67. Federico Moraes with the highest single score, that's 7. Needs nothing, just a 3 to jump up into the lead at this point in time. What a day we've had so far. So much unfolding in that fourth round. A couple of the biggest heat score totals. Definitely the biggest individual turn that we've seen in the contest so far by John Florence.
Was that a turn? I guess it would be, right? It is, but it's turning in the air.
Here we go. The surfer from Portugal. A nice looking wall here. Lays into a full drawn out carve and then banks off the bottom, getting on top of that section. And that sun's starting to pop now. Big crowd on the beach watching this unfold as we look to set up our quarterfinal heats. And a solid finish for Federico right there on the inside.
Man, this guy's consistent. He is just a machine. Knows how to choose good waves, read the ocean very well, read the sections, the waves.
Got that fit athletic build from a pretty good bloodline of famous athletes over there in Portugal.
It's in the DNA, huh?
His dad played rugby union. His uncle, I think, coached the rugby union team over there in Portugal. So he's got that competitive spirit. he just chose surfing as an avenue to put all his energy into.
Well, and you look at what Tiago Pires was able to do for the country of surfing in Portugal. He brought the most amazing fan line, and now Federico gets to kind of run off of that. He's got an entire country behind him, and that must be so cool as we see this replay here. This is going to be his best wave so far in this heat. You know, again, start to finish. There wasn't any one point in this wave you're going, oh gosh, what was that? You know, it's all the way through. He was just so consistent. There it is, an 8.17. So early advantage definitely going to Federico here.
15 minutes to go as he jumps off the ski, heads back for the takeoff zone with a pretty decent lead now. Sebastian Zeitz, we know what he's capable of. He needs an 8.84 now to get himself in front.
And yes, you think with that DNA, that the element of sport, you know, that just hyper IQ and able to compete at a high level and keep your wits about you. That's what he brings too. I mean, those were, you know, the events in Hawaii were, that's a big deal. You know, that is, if you're going to put yourself on and do well in any events, it would be at Sunset Beach and Haleiwa during that Vans Triple Crown, and execute like he did. You know, knowing after the first result, think about the pressure going into the next one. You know, he jumped all the way up the rankings, was looking in qualification, but then went back and performed again and solidified himself in the top, and that actually helped his seeding going into this year. You know, he jumped all the way up to third in the qualifying rankings at that point, which is incredible. You know, just not being on that cut line. You know, he could have easily gone in like, oh, you know, Sunset Beach too is a wave where you're not challenging your competitors, you're challenging yourself against the elements, and he made it happen.
Definitely surfs with a lot of confidence and bringing that fire to a more experienced Championship Tour competitor here in the first heat of round 5. He's up again, trying to get rid of a 7 now. There's that little tweaked out finish to those big turns, but he just gets stuck in trying to get through that second maneuver. Just over 13 minutes to go. Sebastian Zeitz out the back with priority, chasing an 8.84. Let's hear from the winner of the last heat. It's 29-year-old Geordie Smith with Barton Lynch.
Geordie Smith winning that last round 4 heat, and obviously any time you're against Joel Parkinson, you got to be on your game.
Absolutely, one of my idols, someone that I've looked up to my entire life, and yeah, he's deadly out here at Bells. So, and not to take anything away from Wiggly. Wiggly's got those huge backside turns that you can drop 9s at any point. So, yeah, there was just kind of such a frenzy in the competitors area just before I paddled out. You know, with obviously John and Mick's heat. You know, there was such an energy about it, and I just was like, all right, just relax, just go out there. You know, you don't have to match that. You know, you just got to make this heat and pick 2 good waves.
Well, it didn't get any easier after you've gone with the Zeke and Felipe confusion. That got sorted out, but we got to see that heat. You had one of the biggest sets of the day come through. How big is it out there, and what are the conditions actually like?
It's pretty solid. I'd say on the biggest sets, it's definitely 8 foot. Yeah, I don't know. Some people will call it 6 foot Hawaiians. I don't know, but South African it's 8 foot, and yeah, I think, you know, the best waves are probably the 6 footers, the ones that just hit the reef better, and probably like the wave after the set. So I was just lucky enough that one wasn't too bumpy, and yeah, I was able to get up into the lip. Normally I tend to stay away from the lip because there's so many bumps and chops. It's very similar to like Sunset. You don't really hit the lip too much at Sunset. You kind of like to draw those open face turns, but on that wave it was asking for it. And
a little bit of defense right at the end there, because you know Parker could get what he needed if he got the wave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was one wave that I went. It didn't end up being any kind of a good wave, but it just had so much water in it. And I thought if it steepened up as it hit the little reef, then he was definitely going to have an opportunity to get it. And with 2 minutes to go, I just thought, yeah, you know, I might as well take it off him, then give him that opportunity and see what else. Leave it up to the ocean out the back, and he got a chance at the end, both him and Wiggly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he quite got the sections that he wanted on that wave.
Mate, and good to skip that round 5 and through to the quarters. What do you do between now and then?
Just watch the waves, I guess. I'm not too sure what they're going to do So yeah, just rest up, have some chow, and yeah.
Bunny chow.
Not right now, maybe later.
Lacquer brew. Well done, mate. Good heat.
Thanks, buddy.
Geordie Smith just seems like he's in such a good place, speaking with a lot of clarity, almost giving away some of his little secrets to success out here at Bells Beach. I like to stay away from the lip. You can tell those 6-foot sets, the sort of medium-sized waves, stick to the reef a little bit better.
Honesty.
A lot of takeaways for maybe some of the less experienced competitors still left in the draw if they're down there in the competitors area watching. But I did love how much he attacked that medium-sized wave. 7.6 almost seemed unfair. But here we go. Sebastian Zietz during that interview had this wave, Pete.
Well, that first section was a bummer because he really couldn't, both those sections really. Finally here he's able to lay into a carve. He had to miss the foamy section, or that big pillow of cloud, storm cloud that came at him. But this combo there was solid. So when you look at what he needs to do, you feel like he needs to at least match Federico's low score. Obviously watching that wave, that's not going to happen as far as matching his highest score, but it's still a pretty good one. He almost did match the low score.
A 6.83, now looking for an 8.34. 9.5 minutes to go. As the lines continue to roll in here on the bowl for the 56. Rick Earl, Bells Beach Pro. Unbelievable.
56 years this has been here. It's a trek during the Easter holiday. It's a tradition where folks come down here. You wonder if there's been any, I'm sure there has.
Where were you when the first event went down, Pete?
56. I wasn't alive.
Here we go. Movement here.
Wasn't even a spark in my mother's eye.
Federico Moraes taken off. Trying to get rid of a 7. Strong first turn. But you can tell he's loading up for more and gets a tricky section to deal with there. Does very well to recover. Kind of came up under the lip then. There's probably his most solid turn, actually finished with a great combination there on the inside. He loves the feel of that.
Well, that section he wore as a skirt, but he somehow was able to execute, got through it, no worries, and really paid off in the end section. I mean, he could have easily gotten stuck there.
I thought he was gone.
Oh, yeah, but then he just threw it off and went for broke on the inside, and it paid off big time. See, again, that medium-sized set, right, that's going to hug the reef. Very similar to what we saw from Geordie. That arc on the outside section, so he gets some scoring done on the outside right there. He wore it right there on the chest. So strong, stayed on his feet, kept his speed going, and it paid off right here on this inside section. Nice and steep right there. You saw from that back angle on the first angle we saw how steep that section was. Good stuff there for Federico.
He should dump the 7 here. In fact, he might even improve on his best ride. And that number's starting to roll through as Federico makes his way back out. An 8.93. So really starting to pull away from Sebastian Zietz at the moment. Just over 7 minutes to go. And Seabass chasing a 2-wave total of 17.11. Here he goes. Lines up this section. Dealing with some of those bumps. And just gets caught by that lip, trying to drive down to the open face. We're going to take a quick break. Some big heats coming up. Mick Fanning taking on Owen Wright next. Don't go anywhere. back. This has been the stage for so many magic moments, and we've seen some great performances already here. We're only getting into the first heat of round 5, so a lot of magic left to come here at Bells Beach. Once again, a huge heat score total already for the surfer from Portugal, Frederico Moraes, and Sebastian Zeitz, with just over 5 minutes to go, has plenty of work to do.
Judges loving that 8.93. You know, if this kid, like, he doesn't need to change a thing. I mean, those are good, solid heat totals. 17 points. He's asking for, you can see right there, you know what that means? He's going, wait a minute, I need priority. What are you doing?
Well, he's baffled.
He's baffled.
He's been sitting out there. He's not sure what's going on.
There it is.
So a massive appeal, and there it is. So
that's funny.
Big day of appeals. But he gets that priority, and rightly so. He was sitting out the back. Sebastian Zeitz was still on his way to the lineup. But there it is. Frederico in control, Pete. An 8.93 and an 8.17. And it's getting to the point now where Sebastian's going to really struggle to fight his way back. Let's have another look at Fred's last ride.
Incredible wave choice. You know, again, mid-size. It's got that wall on the outside section. Ton of speed. Like, somehow was able to pull that one off when he literally wore that lip on his chest and his waist. But really big points coming on the inside section here. This steep finish move. Saw him do that type of move all through as he wore this one. Like I said, this is more of a prom dress. Prom dress. No, he look at it. He's lip line rode it. Had the whole whitewater right in his face, and he somehow keeps it together, holds his speed. But that's that end section in Haleiwa, you know, that same kind of steep section is what he's so comfortable. You know, he's got so many waves at home. He's able to kind of use his experience. You know, a lot of it too with the equipment, knowing what he needs and rides. It's just so comfortable. A lot of solid surf in Portugal. The Portuguese surf fans must be just going nuts.
A big shout out to everyone over there in Portugal watching this. Obviously, surfing is a big sport over there. They got right behind Tiago in his quest to get big results on the championship tour, and now they got a new name they can get behind.
For sure.
And he is performing so well.
All of this, what this does too for the sport there is it inspires all the younger generation underneath, and you know, that's where Frederico got his inspiration.
Well, here we go, Sebastian Zeitz. Still at this point, you'd have to give him a chance, but he's going to get a little caught behind here for a moment. Things just not going to plan for the Hawaiian. But let's see if he can take this ride to another place with a big finish on the inside here. Ducks into the barrel, and he gets the exit but can't ride out completely.
He's pleading.
He's got a smile on his face.
So
always.
He's having a good time. Look at him. That's why he's got such a huge fan base, you know, because you truly see his personality when he's got the jersey on. Take a look at the replay here. Beautiful carve to start. This wave didn't give him that combination of major moves. So it's going to suppress the score slightly because he didn't get any other turns on the outside. But he stayed with it, got back to the open face, and then somehow finds a little tube time on the inside. Straight into it. And I don't think they'll give him complete on that. But nice work. And again, comes up with a huge smile on his face. I mean, he's in a combo situation, and he's still having a ball. How could you not love that? I mean, he even got the water patrol to get a little chuckle on.
But with just over a minute to go, it looks like that's all we'll be seeing of Sebastian Zeitz here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach for 2017. But with a 13th and 2 9ths, he'll be well placed heading over to Brazil, where he's had some decent runs in the past. Frederico Moraes making his way in now with 45 seconds to go. And he can really pace himself through this one. but he won't. Digs in with a monster first turn. A great combination to kick this right off. And this one could go into his top 2. Already collecting a lot of points as he just rolls on through to this last section. Let's see if he can finish it off. A great performance from the rookie, and he is moving through to the quarterfinals on his way to his best finish in 2017, and that rookie of the year title race is already starting
it's got
to take shape.
Bunch of guys there wanting a piece of it. You got Zeke who's making a run. You got this guy, Conor O'Leary. Exciting. And look at
And the scores coming through for that last ride, a 9.17, a very healthy heat score total for Federico Moraes, 18 points plus. We say goodbye to Sebastian Zietz and we get set for another big clash. Mick Fanning taking on Owen Wright. We'll bring in Kaipo and Potts for the call.
Day here at the Rip Curl Pro, beautiful Bells Beach, and the action continues. Head to head, Mick Fanning versus Owen Wright. Kaipo Guerrero along with 89 bell ringer Martin Potter for the call here, Potts, and we've had an impressive day of surfing, impressive day of surf here at the Rip Curl Pro.
That we have, Copes. It's been an insane day, all the way from the first heat with the fog interfering, and now with pumping surf. We've seen some crazy heats. Mick Fanning involved in one of those earlier this morning with John Florence, one of the best alley-oops I think I've ever seen in the Bells Bowl. And while we're at that break, this is what happened. Two surfers going to do battle here in solid Bells Beach conditions. Mick Fanning up against Owen Wright, and Mick off to a quick start. Tricky waves here this afternoon, Kipes. Bumpy, lumpy face on the bowl here at Bells, and unfortunately Mick Fanning goes down there. Big snap under the lip there, trying to light it up on that inside section. So you're going to have to pick and choose your turns at the right time. There is a little bit of undulations in the face of the wave, but both these guys well and truly understand that and know how to compete at a high level out here at the Bells Bowl. So Mick Fanning starts off with a mid-ranger, and I'm sure that won't be one of his keepers by the end of this heat.
A 5.67, the opener for Mick Fanning, and an interesting matchup when we look at the numbers. 77% heat win ratio here for Fanning, 52% for Owen Wright. However, two surfers have had 9 head-to-head combats, with Owen up on that one, 5-4. And here we go with Owen Wright off the bottom, 12 o'clock, lunchtime, throws the fins. Oh, coming around the section again with a beautiful carve on turn number 2, stands up and ejects off of his board. Right behind him, Mick Fanning. Fanning off the bottom, and that patented Fanning swoop off the top, and a second beautiful turn off the top, and a layback hack for Fanning. Through the lip and close complete. What an exchange. 4 dynamic turns for Mick Fanning, 2 giant turns for Owen Wright.
Yeah, well, how impressive did Owen look on those 2 turns, though? You know, it's all about quality of maneuvers, Kuiper, not about quantity. Obviously, when you're surf with the caliber of Mick Fanning, those 4 turns will be dynamic no matter what. So Mick answers back straight away. A little bit of a mistake on wave number 1, but back on track. Owen Wright just lighting that one up. There you see Owen's numbers. Ranked number 2 in the world at the moment.
That's right. He had that win over at stop number 1 at Snapper. And let's take another look at this exchange and have you break it down for us, Potts, as we see Owen come up.
Owen had a bit of a slow start this morning up against Federico Moraes and Caio Belli. It was kind of a 2-man sort of a heat in that first 3-man heat that Owen surfed, but that is better from him. A couple of mistakes in that heat, but he looks like he is back on track and surfing extremely well. 2 solid maneuvers, 2 maneuvers of quality as this first turn. I mean, beautiful bottom turn, riding a longer board. You can tell he gets to hold that rail, but then it's got that release as well. Owen just throwing the tail out, showing some pizzazz, making it a little bit more critical. We are about to see a solid score drop for Owen Wright straight into the next maneuver. So the synergy between the turns, that combination of major maneuvers is what the judges are looking for out here today, and to make them look so seamless and so effortless, such a difficult thing to do on a very challenging wave. And you can see Owen looking at the beach as if to say, well, judges, did you like that? Right behind him, though, Mick Fanning, big swooping maneuver to start off. Watch the positioning that Mick really gets his board at, and you know, he picks those waves that allow him enough time to open up the shoulders and to finish off strong. Mick Fanning never looks like he's rushing when it comes to riding these waves here at Bells Beach. And we're seeing big scores drop from both surfers. The first turn there, nice wrap around to get himself in the power source, and he always gets that mid-face turn to maintain that speed down the line. And this turn right here from Mick Fanning, just laying into that turn from the top of the wave, and then you can see not drawing all the way off the bottom, and mid-face turn again to make sure he comes into that last section with a lot of speed. The judges loved it. 2 massive scores. These guys are going back-to-back waves. Owen with 2 solid turns, Mick with 4 very similar scores.
And the scores are in, and Mick Fanning comes up on top with just 0.17 over Owen Wright at 8.67 for his wave. Owen Wright with 8.5. Here's Owen's answer back, and the way he's going to back up that 8.5. Just loving the surfing of Owen Wright, the leverage that he's able to apply. That top turn is just so pleasing and radical at the same time. Here we go off the bottom again, and just looking smooth, on point. Difficult floater through the inside here. Can he get a bonus here? And bangs it, goes complete. That was really difficult at the end. Micro likes it, Tyler loves it. Let's see what the judges think about it.
Well, Micro loves it, Tyler likes it. You like it?
I like it.
Man, you?
That's right.
I think the judges are going to like it too. I mean, that was great surfing from Owen Wright. I like the way he just timed his maneuvers. You know, he didn't try and force the issue. There was a moment there where he could have maybe gone for broke and thrown it up, deciding not to. Coming down and around, that shows unbelievable control to be able to hold those emotions back and not get carried away. First turn, just setting this wave up, waiting for it to steepen. Now it starts getting a little bit more vertical, and that's when he tags it beautifully from Owen Wright. See right there, I thought he was going to throw it up, but deciding not to. Smart move from Owen Wright. That is just in control. Don't get too carried away, and it allowed him a couple of more turns. That was critical stuff right there. And then to get it back up and over in a real tight space. Owen Wright finishing a great wave, an 8.5 on his first proper wave, and this one here is going to be another good score. I like that maneuver just to kick it off. Gets his feet in the right place, draws off the bottom, takes his time, and unleashes the beast. Beautiful maneuver right there from Owen, just throwing the tail out, letting those fins slide, putting a lot of pressure on that front foot and then translating it onto the back foot. Doesn't move his feet. Owen Wright is one of those guys that once he plants his feet on the board, that's where they stay, and big turns will follow. Beautiful extension of the body, utilizing every ounce of the wave, showing some control up and over that white water. Difficult to do. You heard Jordy Smith talk about the fact that he stays away from those kind of situations. We've seen a lot of guys come undone. Owen Wright comes out of the whitewash with an avalanche of white water behind him, and another good score just about to drop for Owen Wright.
Yeah, well, we've talked about the goofy foot versus regular foot all competition long, every single day. Let's talk about these guys head to head. As I said, 9 matchups. Owen winning 5 of those, Mick winning 4 of those. The latest one happened at the first stop at Snapper Rocks, where Owen got over Mick and went on to win the event. So big stuff and big scores dropping. A 9.1 for the third ride. Keeper score for Owen Wright. So now let's set the pace. 9.1, 8.5 backup for Owen Wright. He's in the lead. The need for Mick Fanning, an 8.94.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier as this event rolls by. I mean, it's massive scores required. Talk about 8s or lates, and that heat with John. Obviously, Owen had, Mick had John comboed.
Yeah.
In an 18+ 2-wave total. John came back and snuck the win at the end with an incredible alley-oop. This heat no different, where it is going to take big scores to win it. I think Mick knows that. He knew he was going to have a big fight on his hands. Owen had a very slow round number 4 heat, so he had plenty left in the tank, and just wanted to right the ship, which he's done in amazing fashion. A 9.1, 8.50, great 2-wave total already, and there's still 18.5 remaining.
What a matchup, and priority with Mick Fanning. So 4-time bell ringer, 3-time world champ Mick Fanning going to look to come back right now. We know he's, as you said, Potts, obviously he's capable of getting that 8.94 and more, especially out here given the conditions and given his track record. As we said before, 77% heat win percentage.
Yeah, I would not be surprised, Copes, if we see a lead change quite a few times during this heat.
Pleasantly surprised on the conditions right now, and the swell continues to thunder down all the way from center side through Rincon, hitting the bowl here. Massive day here for the Rip Curl Pro. Both of these surfers surfing in their sponsors' marquee event as well. Both Rip Curl team riders, and Owen Wright and Mick Fanning. So that may be another interesting little clash there. Both good friends, and of course when Owen was coming through his recovery from that brain injury, Mick was right there by his side.
Yeah, Mick's he's a legend in that respect. If he's your friend, he's your friend forever, and he's a man that has gone through a lot of stuff in his career, and here he is still surfing at such a high level, wanting to get back on tour after taking a bit of a break last year. A well-deserved break, mind you. And, you talk about that heat on the Gold Coast. I'll tell you what, that was a close heat. That could have gone either way. That was a split decision, and it went Owen's way. So I'm sure Mick's got that in the back of his mind. Maybe a little bit of payback in on the cards for Mick Fanning. But talk about the matchups as well. Owen Wright with 5. Mick Fanning with 4. So
pretty even.
Pretty even, Steven, coming into this battle.
And another point of conversation, we talk about Owen Wright coming back from an injury. Mick Fanning in his career came back from a tremendous injury and rehabbed himself, had that hamstring tore straight off the bone where, like the wincing just at the thought of that injury. But here we go. Owen Wright wearing the number 3 jersey, currently rated number 2 on the Jeep rankings. And Owen, he talked to us a little bit about riding a 6.6 out there. JS surfboards, a forget-me-not. 6.6, 19 inches wide, 2 3/8, 29.9 liters for that JS underneath Owen's feet, and it's looking good. He's able to muscle that 6.6 around, no problem.
Those are kind of my numbers out here. I'd ride something very similar, I think, with the conditions the size they are, and I'm a lot shorter than Owen, but these guys, these guys are so good. They get to, ride smaller boards in bigger waves. That's just the trend that has happened in the modern day surfer.
Well,
you even go to places like Pipeline and Chopu and Cloudbreak, they're riding really small boards in big gnarly conditions because they're sitting underneath it, whereas we'd like to get that chip shot in.
That's right.
I'd normally ride about anywhere from a 7.0 up to a 7.6 at Pipe. Like that little bit of stability underneath my feet, but obviously Owen riding a longer board due to the fact that he is about 6'3", 6'4" in height, so I like it. I like him with a bit of foam under his feet.
Well, we saw a glimpse of the Jeep leaderboard, and we're going to hear from a guy who wants to climb up that Jeep leaderboard. He's on his way because he won his round 5 matchup. Federico Moraes is with Barton Lynch.
Federico Moraes through to the quarterfinals, mate. Must be stoked. Your best result so far this year?
Yeah, so stoked, really psyched. And after a really tough hit this morning against Caio, it's good to make this round 5 and be in the quarterfinals. And yeah, against Caio again. And I don't know if you're going to surf this afternoon or tomorrow, but the waves are firing. And yeah, just stoked to be out there.
Yeah, you were ripping. What was the key to that success in that heat, do you believe?
I don't know. I think heaps of commitment on your turns, powerful turns. Just hold that bottom turn tight and then try to get through the bump and just wait for the good ones.
And tell us about the eye. It seems to be oozing a little bit. Does it affect you? Do you even know it's there when you're in the heat?
No, it kind of, like I said this morning, kind of scared me at the beginning because there was heaps of blood and I was just feeling weird and dizzy. But yeah, throughout the day, it's just feeling normal, like nothing happened, so it's amazing.
Yeah, tell us about the surf. That's amazing too, right?
No, the surf is firing. Gladly they called it off yesterday. Just wait for this amazing swell. It's just pumping.
And does this place remind you of home at all? Does it remind you of Portugal? It's kind of a raw environment. You've got the cold water, the big waves.
Fully, it's just like Portugal, point breaks, right-hand point breaks. Just the landscape is pretty similar, and yeah, cold water. It feels like home.
Looks like home, bro. Congratulations, mate. Great heat one.
Thank you guys.
All right, yeah. And back to live action. We saw the end of Fanning's ride going incomplete. We just saw Owen Wright come to his feet.
We talk about this being a gladiator arena. I mean, he looked like he's just gone to battle in an MMA fight with a cut over the top eye there. But, that's the danger of our sport. Obviously, Federico has put all that aside and is surfing incredibly well, feeling at home. But that exchange, Mick Fanning on his way to a fantastic score, looking to drop an 8.94. Kind of pushing the issue right at the end of that one, so it's going to be interesting to see if enough of the work was done. Let's have a look. Just a bit of a smaller wave, and these are the kind of waves that Geordie Smith was picking up. Why? Because they're a bit cleaner, a little bit more inside, hugging that reef a bit better, and Mick Fanning just going to town on this wave. Seamless, radical, beautiful surfing from Mick Fanning, which we come to love here at Bells Beach. Bangs it off the top, and this is where he goes for that 2-for-1 on the inside. Just a little bit too late on that last occasion. Now that doesn't kind of sit well with the judges, but did a lot of hard work up until that point. Owen Wright on the one right behind there. Nice opening maneuver. Caught just a little bit. And over the top again, so waiting for something special to happen here. Upside down. Knew he had to crank it up on that next turn. He missed a few maneuvers on the way, but look at the scores dropping for Mick Fanning with a wipeout at the end of it. Well, we talk about damage done, and what damage it was. Look at that score, Kaipo.
Enough for a 9.6, as high as a 9.8 on the scale. You can see we throw out that high and low, do that average. 9.6, Mick Fanning takes the lead over Owen Wright. Owen now needing a 9.18 is his requirement. Owen with first priority, so he will have opportunity. He has 11 minutes to do so. Let's take a look at this in slow-mo.
All right, this is kind of a clinic on how to surf Bells Beach. Mick Fanning, it's just, he seems to pick those waves that allow him to really tag it whenever he wants to. He's not rushing. He's not trying to oversurf the wave. He's just positioning himself absolutely perfect every single time in the power source. Look at that front foot comes off the board. The concentration to regather. Place it back, shuffles it back just that little bit, and then unleashes the next turn. So 3 solid maneuvers at the beginning of this wave. So a lot of damage was done, and underneath priority, here he goes again.
Fanning off the bottom. A nice slash off the top, a little bit underneath the lip. Off the bottom again and drives through a beautiful rail turn back to the power source. Again, gets to the shoulder for a little turn. Mick Fanning loading up here, snaps it, and gets caught up. So not going to improve upon his 8.67. He's going to remain in the lead, and Owen Wright will still have an opportunity to answer back with that 9.18 as the requirement. But I love, again, hats off to our entire camera crew over here. You know, we're able to replay this. It was so interesting, Pop, to see how gnarly it was with Mick Fanning, that front foot coming off on that turn, and him regaining composure seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, in real time, you miss that stuff, right? There's so much goes on with, you know, with surfing that the naked eye misses. So to be able to get those camera angles, those close-ups, those slow motion, just to really pinpoint what's going on with the feet, the body language, the hand position, the weight distribute, you know, it's just so much going on that we love to get the slow-mo. We get all different angles from it, and you know, Mick Fanning, just one of the best guys to watch technique-wise. You know, he's just such a, he reads the wave as good as anyone ever does out here at Bells Beach. And this is why. Look at this turn from here, just in the beautiful position. That front foot comes off, sticks it back on. You can see the concentration. Now, what Mick does is he doesn't get too carried away down the line. He gives every individual turn his utmost attention, which you really have to do here at Bells. The wave is far from perfect. There's a lot of imperfections in it. There's a lot of lump and bump. There's a lot going on, and Mick understands that and identifies it probably better than anyone. So focus on each turn, give each turn your undivided attention, and that will equal big scores. So Mick Fanning finds himself in the lead with a 9.6 as the highest score. Owen Wright looking for a 9.18. He's kind of got a wave in that scoreline, a 9.10, so he knows what he's got to do. He's basically got to just let it all hang out.
He's going to hope for Bells to deliver him a canvas, a wave, an opportunity to do so. Highly likely that it's going to come to, because it's been pretty consistent today. The swell is forecasted to, you know, continue throughout the day, maybe peaking midday, and then on a slow decline, but still plenty of surf over the next 24 hours.
Absolutely, Copes. It's going to be it'll be pumping all the way through the afternoon as well. I think all the way into tomorrow morning, we'll still see quite a bit of size out here. Hopefully, some clean conditions again. But you know what? It's up to the commissioner's office and also the surfers, really, whether they keep running and how far they go. That wind not really affecting the lineup too much. And as I've always said, Bells Beach doesn't mind a little bit of wind. It's that kind of wave that can handle it. So all systems go at the moment.
Well, if performances have been any indicator whether we should keep on rolling, I'm saying let's keep on rolling, Mr. Potter, because it's been outstanding, the level of surfing that we see here. Felipe Toledo, he's coming up against Joel Parkinson in the next heat, and the heats just keep on getting better. Ricardo giving a little encouragement to Felipe, and we're going to be back with the rest of Fanning versus Wright. Stick around for more of the Rip Curl Pro.
Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Here with Sebastian Zietz, mate. That looked like one of those heats where things just don't kind of click.
Oh, yeah. I just feeling a little bit shaky, and seemed like every wave I picked kind of just, I was going for those bigger ones, and they ended up just going wide and going big and fat, and then kind of had to rely on the end part, and yeah, just kind of a shocker of a day, really.
What board were you riding out there?
I was riding the 6-1. It was the same board I won Margaret's on, but it was kind of a little bit undergunned, and yeah, I probably, needed to work on my quiver a little bit more coming into this, and Margaret's kind of was lacking a few boards and broke a few, and then didn't really have that in between. I either had a 6-1 or a 6-6 for today, so it's just, the magic number would have been like a 6-3, of course, so just kind of lacking in, what I needed.
And I suppose with that in mind, catching those sets might have made it a little difficult. Hunting those smaller inside ones might have suited that 6-1 a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. But it was kind of playing in my head how Mick was getting those 9s on those big sets in my first heat. So I was kind of thinking those sets still line up. But then Federico was kind of going on these smaller ones. And I was totally thinking that, I need these smaller ones so my board will, fit a little bit better. But, yeah, just the way it played out, you kind of got to go when you get the opportunity, and if it's a big set, you're not going to go. So that's how it happened.
And a few weeks now before Brazil. What's the plan, mate?
Yeah, quick turnaround. I'm going to the Commune Comp in Bali, and then I'm going on a boat trip to the Mentawais, and then hopefully getting to Brazil just the day before the comp. So
and tuned up from surfing heaps, not home to Hawaii. You must miss home a bit, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hawaii is amazing, but it's coming into summertime now, so... we just get kind of east swell slop. It's still fun, but yeah, I got a new house. I'm gonna kind of miss that, but no, it's my job, and I love being on the road, and I'll have plenty of time for Hawaii when I'm done.
Yeah, I can tell you sure will. But living the dream, mate. Keep it up, and great surfing anyway.
Cheers, thanks, Bert.
Seabass, good to hear from him. Doesn't sound like a bad schedule. Over to Commune, and then to the Mentawais. Here we go with live action. Big opportunity for Owen Wright. Nice first turn, getting the ball rolling, carving through this easy section, setting it up. You can see him stomping on the tail of his board. Another backhand carve. We're going to look for something dynamic in the end, and just gets caught up on the heels there.
Yeah, one little mistake, that's all it takes. I like, I was kind of liking his approach on that. That first turn, nailed it. He was taking his time with it, just setting up that last maneuver, but there was a little bit of a glitch there where he kind of, that turn before the wave closed out, it sort of stopped him in his tracks almost went over the handlebars, and then that put him, just out of rhythm on that last section. So I tell you, he's such a tricky wave to surf, and then throw in the pressure of having to drop a big number. I reckon he was on his way to something special here after this first turn. Look at that beautiful swooping bottom turn, and just to be able to put that board in that position right there, waiting for it. Nice swooping maneuver again. Now watch over here as he comes off the bottom, hits the brakes, obviously stomping on the tail right there. Just stopped him in his tracks, and that just put him behind. So unfortunate right there for Owen Wright. Goes down, and he's going to go back to the drawing board. You can see the oohs and the ahs from the family. And as the sets continue to pour through here. I tell you, we have absolutely been blessed with waves.
How about
for
the
Rip Curl
oohs
Pro.
and the ahs for the wave spots? Oh my goodness, classic bells. We've been so fortunate throughout this 2017 Rip Curl Pro. Even the late days have been fun, folks, but right now this is something special going on. And here we go with Mick Fanning. Rolls into this one, big wall on the bowl, carves a beautiful top turn. Fanning off the bottom, long bottom turn, and just hacks that turn number 2, comes around this section. What's he got for us? A little bit late to the party there. More open faces he's on the search for. Little layback under the lip, and Fanning.
I don't mind that under the lip. It's something different.
I love it.
So everyone's been trying to get the board up into the lip. On that occasion, Mick snapped it under the lip, so showing something different. I don't mind that at all.
And he goes, he completes his ride with some dynamic maneuvers. And we're down to under a minute right now. He's coming in.
Yeah, would you rather go for that last turn and risk falling off, or do that under the lip snap and guarantee your finish. So
smart,
very smart. It's identifying the situation and reacting, and it's not trying to do too much on the wave.
Yep.
As a smart guy, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's already got 4 bells. You can tell his legs are burning right now, and he just says to the crowd, "Can you just give me a minute so I can catch my breath, please?"
The kids are immediately upon him. He winded, barely even able to speak, and just the swarm surrounds Mick Fanning. But what a gentleman, the people's champ, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look at the score there, that last wave, just sealing the deal. And Mick Fanning moves through to the quarterfinals, gets one back, and evens up the score with Owen.
5-5 for the head-to-head matchup, even Steven between Owen Wright and Mick Fanning. Mick Fanning on to the quarterfinals, and Owen Wright's going to take home a 9th at Bells. Not a bad Australian leg, but here we go. Mick Fanning, look at the scores. As high as a 9.3, and this man is on the hunt for a 5th bell, well on his way into the quarterfinal spots.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back with another matchup, another one to stick around for. Felipe Toledo versus Joel Parkinson when we return.